Hi.
Hi.
So I'm really excited. Today's a big day.
Big day. Huge.
Huge day. This is one of our secret things that we've been working on that haven't been so secret because one of our guests has been boosting us on social media.
Which we love.
Which we love. But we're so excited because we're having our very first guests on today. And I can't wait for you guys to hear it. It's so much fun.
So much fun. Our favorite SJM cosplayer is Saskia Chronicles on Instagram.
We do love her.
Doing a really great bit lately, gender bending a lot of characters. If you've not seen her Reese, go check it out.
Ooh, it's steamy.
Dazzling. I am dazzled. Are you dazzled by me?
I'm bejeweled.
That's what Edwards asks Bella.
Oh.
But Sass has been cosplaying and creating bookish content for just shy of a year. ACOTAR was a series that got her back into reading, and now she cannot be stopped. She just finished Gold from the Plated Prisoner series, and she's currently reading Ruthless Vows before the release of CC3.
Which I'm actually buddy reading Ruthless Vows with her, and I'm not being a very good buddy.
I am unsurprised by this.
I've kind of been dropping the ball, and that's on me. I have no one to blame but myself.
Yeah, but you can find her at the Saskia Chronicles on both Instagram and TikTok, and we will link those both up in the show notes.
So we all know why you're here, because you love theories. So you're going to love our next guest, Anna Hinsey. Her Instagram handle is reads.by.AnnaID. She is a Kansas City native. Go Chiefs! Go Taylor's boyfriend!
Go Taylor's boyfriend.
She's a registered nurse, but her heart belongs to books and exploring more creative avenues. She's forever Team Edward and Justice for Dobby, and she's a wine lover and is always looking for a reason to hop on a plane to explore the world and meet new people. Just like us.
You know me, always on a plane.
I meant meeting new people.
Oh.
But yeah, says the one that flew to Mexico a few weeks ago.
True.
And not any more tanned than you were whenever you left.
I actually am. I have the line.
Oh, show me some shoulder.
You see?
I see. So you went from pale to red.
I'm always red. That's just the color that I turn. But also I was pretty burnt. My shoulders peeled and everything.
Oh, delicious.
Mm-hmm.
That good old December winter peel. Unless you're Sass and then it's summertime in Australia.
There you go.
So, again, we've got Sass and Ana joining us for this episode, and we hope that you enjoy.
Enjoy. Hi, I'm Olivia.
And I'm Kelly, and this is a Court of Theories podcast,
where we deep dive all things ACOTAR, Throne of Glass, and Crescent City.
This podcast contains spoilers.
Oh, we're so fucking good at this. I can't believe that.
That's hilarious. I literally just got a notification that said it's now being recorded.
Here's the deal. Here's how we have to look at this. We're only 20 minutes in. And there's a lot of shit that we're going to circle back to because I just know it. Also, this is way better than whenever we were 3 hours into a recording one time and we went to call it a quits and we only recorded 21 fucking minutes. So,
oh my God.
And then we did it again and we went over, we were not here. So this is my house and we were like in our back pod room. We went over to Hutchison HQ at her house and did it again. Well, then we decided we were like, we're going to try these two mics that we don't normally like use together. The worst sound quality I've ever heard in my life. It sounded like I was outside and then it sounded like Olivia was literally making out with the microphone, which is what I do. But, and so I was like, I can't edit this, Liv. This is so bad. I can't edit this. And she was like, it's fine. We're both like, it's fine. It's fine. So then we went and did it again, which actually the second time we did it, Liv tried to kill me.
An allergic reaction to an air freshener at my house and couldn't breathe. That was fun.
Oh my God.
I started losing my voice while we were talking. She's like, do you need to go to the ER? And I was like, no. I sounded like SpongeBob and Sandy's Dome. I was like, no, I'm fine. So then it took me like 3 days to recover, and then we recorded again. We finally got the episode out like a day late.
It was the
So
curse.
bad. So anyway, so this is easy. This is
isn't near
nothing
as
for
bad.
us. We're good.
This
And
is great.
and, now, and you know what? Here's the deal. Now we're warmed up.
Yeah,
Yes.
There you go.
ready to go.
We're all friends now. We've stretched. But okay, so we're talking about the inner circle being dark. We'll go back to that in a little bit. But okay, so Hokey, so Azrael being Hokey, it just I don't
Cheesy. Like
cheesy.
it was kinda
Yeah,
silly.
like it's just very like cheesy where and I was telling her I was like, I see that, but also we're seeing him from someone else's point of view where he has to be the spy master.
No, the part that set me off is the fucking language pill. I'm like, come on.
Yeah,
The little bean
Now
that she
that's
had to drink.
Yeah.
that was very much not creative. I was actually really pissed off about that.
She dry swallowed that pill, guys. No one offered her any water.
Rude.
Right,
But
like
yeah,
I collected enough saliva to swallow this pill. I was like, Sarah, you could have he left the room. He could have at least.
But Reese has
Yeah.
fucking mind control. Could he not reach in and fuck up her brain where she could understand? Like, why did it have to be
Because of
a language pill?
choice.
Yeah, the whole choice thing. That's been like a whole,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, obviously I'm all for it, but I was
Yeah.
so fucking annoyed about that. I'm like, are you kidding me? You're literally the most powerful High Lord. Get up in that shit and figure out what is going on.
Yeah,
Sneak in
exactly.
there. They won't know.
Also, just circling back to the pill again, I'm not done with this pill. the
No, keep
fact
going.
Keep going.
the fact that they've got a pill that can, translate languages, but they can't get an Illyrian baby out of a womb.
Fact.
Nah.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
What is going on? That was weird to me.
Hokey.
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 I'm going to use that word from now on.
Yep. That's your. We
I'm
gave you a
bringing
new
Hokey
word. I'll
back.
probably give you a lot of new words because
But yeah, that gave me the ick. I was like, oh, okay.
I was just
Yeah.
more upset that she had to dry swallow that pill.
No, that was so, I don't know. I didn't like it.
What other series is there? I swear there's another one that there is. They give. Oh no, I'm thinking about Ice Planet and Barbarian.
Have you read that?
No.
I haven't. No.
I haven't.
They get like, I mean, that book, it's fucking cheesy too, but they have a laser that like goes in their brain and it like installs the new language. I'm like, that's more believable to me than this silver bean pill.
Yeah.
If they would have said that Hypaxia gave her that pill,
Yes.
I would have been like, I'm in. I'm sold.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
done. Hypaxia
Yeah.
can do that shit. But not in Prithian.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
I mean, Hypaxia is, let me just pull this venom out of your leg and like suspend it in the air.
She keeps her
and,
broom in a brooch, so totally
Yeah.
believable.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But not Reese.
No.
Not Reese.
Not a Prithian. It's so silly. Yeah. Real hole in the plot there. I didn't like that. Sorry, everyone. I still love you, Sarah.
Yeah. We
But your editor should really fight you more.
right. Listen, if we've talked about if we were each other's editors, oh my God, there'd never be a book. We'd be screaming like, this is what are you doing? Like, I was really thinking about back to like the High Lord meeting. Well, I mean, Rhysand has to come across as a dick.
Mhm.
You're not the most powerful High Lord, and you're nice. You know, he has to be scary. And so Azrael, we don't ever really see anything other than like little sentences here and there where Azrael has tortured somebody. So
Yeah.
that tone where he's got to go into that spy master and torture somebody. I mean, she's literally in a dungeon. He's like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, I'm in my element. I got this. I'm going to talk to us or you're going to die.
It's weird. Like, only Reese introduced himself, so she doesn't really even know. She keeps like saying like the female, the other male. And I don't
Mhm.
know. It's kind of weird how they're playing that.
Oh, they did.
She
Introduce?
keeps saying,
Oh. How'd
Because
she
she-
find out, Sass?
She would, I think she like referred to Amryn like as the silver-eyed female like a couple of times, right?
Yeah.
And then the male with the shadows that were kind of like runes, but then she compared it to more like Cormac's shadows. And
Yeah.
so
Okay,
so
it's
it's like
after-
she never got anybody's names or anything.
after he asks her if he can go into her memories, she says no, and then he introduces them. he says Azriel and Amryn, and then he motions to her and he says Bryce Quinlan, and she's like, yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's just shoved in the middle of all of the
Yeah.
shit that we're given. So no wonder none of us remember that.
But I love that
I read it twice.
She's telling him about the sword and dagger, and Reese is like, there's nothing like that in our history, and Amryn's like, yeah, there is.
She's JK.
Yeah. Literally.
You know how to speak these other languages, but you don't know shit about our history. Like,
I thought that was weird. I mean, he knows about it. I just thought it was weird that he like either didn't make the connection or didn't want to admit it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know. Reese knows way too much. Like, he knows literally everything, but he's not playing his cards, like, obviously right away. I mean, that's being smart, but like, as much as I love Reese, I still do, but I always felt like he just knows literally everything. But even he's not being totally honest with like maybe his inner circle completely. Like, he knows way too much. And so honestly, maybe it's just the way that it was written. But it seemed like he was almost playing dumb on purpose.
Yeah.
True. Well, what's that
I guess
theory?
I didn't think about it that way.
What's that theory as well, that his beast form looks like a wordhound and look like the Wild Hunt Daglin beast? They look like wordhounds. His beast form is a word. Like, I think there's something real sinister going on there. I love Reese too. Don't get me wrong. Reese girl forever. But I definitely think that, like I was saying before, sinister vibes. Like, something's going on.
I mean, the whole theme of Crescent City, like the first two books, essentially is death. Like, it's literally shoved down your throat from page one. Someone is dying. Memento mori. Like, I mean, shadow of death. Like, all of these things. It's like, holy shit. Like, and then she ends up in Prithian. Like, I don't see how there isn't any like underlying sinister vibe, like you said, because the whole theme essentially of the first two books in Crescent City was that. Like, I mean, it's just been yelled at you the entire time.
I thought, just kind of like thinking about, so obviously Cormac is dead. And so like that whole conversation with,
I don't think he is.
With the Asteria.
I was gonna say, is he? I don't know if he is.
There's no body. Like this, I thought it was weird that he like makes a point to say that there's no body to even.
No body, no crime.
Yeah. That's kind of what I'm at right now.
So let me rephrase that. Allegedly he's dead. And so they're going through, and we actually get to meet his dad and how they have to be, because you never really saw anybody interacting with the Asteri, especially those that are in like a higher power position. And I thought it was very interesting that the Autumn King did not denounce Bryce as like being a princess, but he was like, fuck Rune. You know what I mean? He deserves what he gets. I mean, he never really denounced him either, not like Cormac's dad. Cormac's dad was like, I would have handed him over and blah, blah, blah. I'm like,
he just said he hadn't decided on a punishment for her.
He just hadn't decided. But even like Regalius was like, so you haven't denounced her? And he's just, I haven't decided. So it's like, what does he know? Because
better question is, who is he?
That Reese has. What does he know?
Sorry. I don't know. My thought was like, who actually is he?
Yeah.
Who actually is he? Because again, like, to me, he okay, so in the first Crescent City book, in his office, he had the orrery, you know? Reese had the same thing. The Asteri have the same thing. What is that parallel? Why is that so important? And why are these three people, or I guess, you know, the Asteri or whatever they are, and then the other two, like, why is that so important? Why is it being brought up? What is the connection? Like, the Autumn King is like literally a mystery. He pops in, he's an asshole, we know that, and then he just goes away, and it's like a mystery. Like, what is he actually doing behind the scenes? And then you have that opening fucking scene where he's just like, yeah, I don't know, it's fine, fuck Rune, Bryce is whatever, I'm out, see you later. So it's just, who are you? Who the fuck are you? Who are you?
Yeah.
We're gonna find
Where
out
did you
that.
come? Yeah. I think, well, we kind of do. We kind of not exactly, but we find out about his wife, or Rune's mother, and there's a really interesting connection there. So I look forward to you guys reading that because it's been theorized quite a lot. And I think, Anna, you've even got it.
Just say it.
Sorry, what was that?
Yeah, what'd you say?
I said, is she Reese's sister? Just tell us.
I'm not saying shit. I'm not ruining it for Anna. I know Anna doesn't want too many spoilers, but I think, Anna, you've got a theory about it. I've seen, like, Emily's done a full theory about it. So I think we'll get to see a lot of lineage in regards to gods.
Wait. Can I say it? Do you want me to say it?
Go on.
Is it Maeve?
No, it's not Maeve.
Because I was like, wait, that was my first one. I was like, wait.
No, I think you just...
I was like, that was the most off-kilter thing I've ever said in my life. I was like,
no. It's not Maeve, but honestly, that's an interesting thought too. No, so it has to do with gods. So it's an interesting theory, and it comes back to hell, and like a lot of, there's so much in there that gets closed out that we're all kind of like, oh, okay, that answers that then, I guess. But yeah, I think we will get to learn a little bit more about the Autumn King, but I still feel like he's shrouded in so much mystery. Like the fact that he only took that wife so that he could have Rune to get that specific power from her interests me a lot. And the fact that at the very beginning of CC1, he's like asking Rune to try and use his magic to do whatever it was that he was doing, and he couldn't do it, and he was like, pathetic. So he obviously wants that power for something, like potentially to get back to his own world or whatever it was. Also, the fact that he called himself the Autumn King. Like, that was his name that he gave himself. What do you mean?
Yeah.
What?
Is he related to, or is he a descendant or whatever of Eris? Because do we see some lineage of his?
I don't think so. Well, not that I know of. It could be in there, you never know, but it wasn't touched on when I spoke to Emily about it. But I think it's really interesting how there were 7 brothers in the Autumn Court, and you know, a couple of them they're gone. What do you mean they're gone? Where have they gone? What did they do? And if we know that the Autumn King is so obsessed with he obviously knows about world walking, and he knows what's going on. So like, why is he so obsessed with it? Is it because he accidentally went through the Northern Rift? Because we know that the Northern Rift is not just a place that people from, it's not a gate just to hell. It's a gate that goes to multiple different worlds. So the Northern Rift is a gate to many places. What if he accidentally came through the Northern Rift? Wow.
He was trying to like pull an Aelin, and then just the next thing he knows, he's like, whoops.
Went swimming in Tamlin's Starlight Pool and never came back.
Do we find out about that fucking Starlight Pool?
No, it's not.
No, I want to talk about it though. I've got it in here.
She wants to talk about it. Sorry.
I have a whole theory.
Give it.
Yes.
So you guys wanted me to prepare the crackpot theory, so I brought my most popular or most unpopular theory with me. It does wrap into CC, I think, quite nicely, but kind of more towards the end. But yeah, let me know if you want to talk about that, because it's kind of derailing the whole Crescent City conversation.
I don't care.
Yeah,
you know what? Listen, I let me just go ahead and let me just tell you guys, we literally derail all the time. We will show up with beautiful scripts, or we've got all these links, we've got all this stuff. I'm telling you, we have I have to edit 5 hours of shit to give you an hour and 45-minute episode. Because talk about book subscriptions, and we'll go shopping. We are like, let's get on Fairy Loot's website. You want to look at that stuff?
Can I tell you a really
we
sad
don't talk
story?
Every day.
Yes, I want to hear.
Okay, so one time I was like, I'm going to try and sign up to get the Fairy Loot adult boxes. I really want them. I really just want to be a part of Fairy Loot. Anyways, I signed up. 6 months later, I got the link saying you've been accepted, but I didn't see the link until a week later. And so I missed out on the Fairy Loot adult books.
Honestly, I feel that in my soul, because I just got that email recently, and I was like, I need this. I don't know what it is about Fairy Loot, but there's something about their whoever does their PR is a fucking genius.
Beautiful.
And I've
Yes.
never, ever in my life as an adult wanted to participate in something so effing hard.
Yes. Yeah. Depressing.
I got signed up a couple months ago, and then Liv just got her email this week.
I literally got it like 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. They've been so far behind.
I signed up in May last year for the wait list.
I signed up in March.
Oh my God, that's so long.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Wow.
so long. And every time I've tried to sign up for a Limicrate and I get their subscription email, I always miss it. That is always, but
Oh.
I've gotten it multiple times, and y'all listen, I miss it every time. So I'm so frustrated at myself. But yeah, that was a box that I was like, I will give my soul for that. I will do whatever I need to do. And
I don't know, they have the best looking editions the majority of the time, I feel like.
well,
Yes.
so one that you may look into, and I know there's a wait list, Owl Crate. If you have not really looked into Owl Crate, their books are beautiful. We started getting Owl Crate. They started their adult subscription in July or something, and we were like, we started doing it like in the fall or whatever. Every book is beautiful.
Yeah.
Every book. They're
I'm
smaller.
a sucker for a pretty cover. And the sprayed edges, all the art that comes in them. I'm like, here's my credit card number. Just put it on repeat. I don't care if it's a daily thing. Just take my money. Take it and give it to me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Owl Crate, we've skipped like one. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy that Coco's.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, please bring Coco on. Also, she doesn't have any pet spiders.
No giant spiders.
No giant spiders.
I feel like all the propaganda in the US about Australia is that your animals are like terrifying. Like you guys have spiders and snakes everywhere.
That's what I sent her. I literally sent her this. I was like, okay, I have to ask you, like, how big are your spiders? And then there was this video I sent her yesterday or something where this woman is
with a spider.
But she has, I'm pretty sure it's like a pet spider for her. And she's sitting there having a conversation with it. It's like Charlotte's Web, and it's like crawling around like this mug. She's having tea with it. And yeah, they're like, this is how to get, I forget how it was like, this is like the PR for Australia. And I said, so this is what happens, right? Like
100%. We just hang out with spiders. They're our friends. No, that never happens.
Snakes.
Literally, I always tell people, so I've only lived in capital cities. I've never lived in the bush. So I can't tell you what the spiders are like in the bush. But in capital cities, like I live in Melbourne. People say Melbourne is a lot like San Francisco, very much like San Fran. And we've got like trams and stuff. We're a very nice city. But you'd be hard pressed to find any wildlife. I'd compare it. I've only been to New York in the States for a long time. And I would compare it to New York. We don't have as many rats, but nothing. Birds.
You know what? Pigeons. And they're huge there. They're huge.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more scared of the New York rats than I am of the Australian spiders.
Do you guys remember Pizza Rat that literally had the New York-sized? Do you guys remember that? Mm-mm. It was this rat that someone had took a video of going down the streets of New York City and a New York slice of pizza. You know, it's ginormous. This rat was literally carrying it in its mouth, and it was like as big as the piece of pizza.
Oh no. My God.
I'm not kidding. And I was like, oh no, did it take it down to the turtles in the sewer because they wanted their pizza for the night? You know, we got to get to the Ninja Turtles.
That is wild.
Yeah, no, we just I love that you called it the bush. That's hilarious. Just because I'm over here, I live out here in the country. I got a cornfield at the back and a cornfield at the left. We live in front of my husband's family's farm.
Oh my God, you sent me that video whenever you and I were chatting, and I was just like, wow, she lives out there, huh?
It gets, listen, like the wind. Oh my gosh, whenever my little dog goes outside, he's just like straight back. So ridiculous. Like, girl, to be in the country, the stuff that you see, like we have hawks that are as big as my little dog that, oh yeah, it's huge. Also, I told you I have 3 dogs, 3 cats. We also have 12 pigeons
Say what now?
that are, we have pigeons. We have racing pigeons, World War II
What?
racing pigeons. Yeah. Yeah, my
What?
husband spent 3 weeks building a pigeon house. And it's nicer than some people's sheds. Okay. Like a nice shed that you would get at, the home store or whatever, Home Depot or Lowe's. It's nicer than that. And we have freaking pigeons. Guys, I didn't want these.
Didn't want these.
We have a bird dog. They're used to train this bird dog who's the bane of my existence. And we have 12, so we have to be on the lookout for hawks. Not because of my dogs, but because of these pigeons.
The pigeons.
It's not the life I signed up for, guys.
No. God.
The town that we both grew up in is just 2 towns over where we live now. But I never would have, it's a tiny town. We only have 1,200 people in our towns. Would have never fathomed that I would have pet pigeons. And we technically live in city limits of the town, so they are our pets. Yeah, Anna's over here with Travis Kelce, and I have pigeons.
I'm not in the burbs, okay? I don't live in the city anymore. I'm in the burbs. We got our yee on out here, okay?
Did you say yee?
Until you have pigeons.
Not so. Yeah. Okay. Yes. It's like there's this country artist that does this whole like yee in one of his songs. Do you know what I'm talking about? Anyway, I'm not a huge country fan, but anyway, my husband like would play it sometimes, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And then we move out here, and I'm like, okay, well, this tracks. We're like 30 minutes outside of like the city, but I'm like, man, sometimes I don't know. You see people, and you're like, man, okay, you guys haven't left in like 45 years. You can tell.
That's the towns that we grew up in. So like the town, like I said, the town that we both grew up in. So Liv and I have been friends since we were like 5 years old. Mm-hmm. So like we've been in each other's weddings. We've been there and back. And look, she's ignoring me. So she's
so happy right now.
She knows how to she's over here looking shit up. She's looking up spoilers and shit. Don't let her fool you. She's just not listening to me. She's listening to you guys. She's just not listening to me. But so we have 3 towns that go to one high school. And so we've actually always at some point lived in the same like place. Mm-hmm. And so now we live in the fancy town. So we grew up in the like poor town, and then now we live in the fancy town, and we ride golf carts everywhere.
It's the same shit.
What?
We drive golf carts everywhere. We get golf cart permits every year, and we drive our golf carts around town. We'll drive up to the restaurant in town, get our dinner, and then like my dog, he loves he loves the golf cart. Loves the golf cart. It's his favorite thing. So if people just see me and my dog riding around on, and that's how everybody gets around. People have like $12,000 golf carts, guys.
It's not a joke. We have like our neighborhood, everybody has a golf cart except for us. And I'm like, I can't justify having this tiny little machine that we would probably use to take to the pool, because that's the closest thing like that we could probably get to safely. And literally everyone around us has it. Some of them like get them decked out with lights and strobe lights and have like a sound system. And I'm just like, man, if you're going to spend this kind of money, like just get like a Ferrari or a Porsche. What's the point?
That's people in our town. So like ours that we had, so my grandpa passed away a couple years ago. So Red was actually my grandpa's dog. And so Red came to live with us. Mm-hmm. Well, Red came with a golf cart. So when we moved, so the golf cart waited until we moved into this house now. And so my husband souped that thing up. He took out all the batteries. It has 3 lithium batteries, and we can go 40 miles an hour in this golf cart. Oh yeah. We have to have seatbelts, regulated seatbelts. And oh yeah, people have lights, people have sound systems. There's this one guy that rides around that I'm pretty sure he has subs bigger than what people put in their cars.
Oh, I'm sure.
It shakes our windows. Oh yeah. Oh, what? Sass, we gotta fly you into the Midwest. Forget New York City. We'll show you like what it's really.
Yeah,
We'll fly
you wanna come out
city.
here? You wanna come see what it's like? Come hang
I
out.
sure do.
Everyone
I am
that I work
coming
with
in.
thinks I live in a Hallmark movie.
Oh, okay. Shush. That's rude. Sorry, Coco's being really loud. I am coming in 2025. I'm coming in October, so the plan is to like go around and say hi to everyone.
Nice.
So maybe I will do that.
Anna's about 7-ish hours away from us. I'm trying to think how long it takes my brother-in-law to get here. My brother-in-law lives in Kansas City, so don't ask me what neighborhood or anything. I don't know.
I was gonna say like probably 7-ish hours. Yeah, if you drive straight through.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, we do.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you drive overnight, you'll probably get there faster.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. A nice halfway point is St. Louis.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Nice. Me not knowing where any of this is. I know Kansas. Like I know Kansas from The Wizard of Oz.
Okay, so like I'm on the other side of that. I'm on Missouri. I'm in Kansas City, Missouri, just on the other side of the border there.
Okay. Nice.
Yes.
Have you ever heard or seen the St. Louis Arch, the giant arch that is in America?
It's not that big of a deal. So
Oh,
she has no
I
idea.
don't know.
No.
I'm asking.
Nobody cares.
I mean, the Midwest sucks. I'm just gonna be honest. Like,
Well,
we
is
sit in a
that-
horrible spot where we don't even get the good snow. Anna got all this great snow, and I was
We
literally
did.
sending her a video where I was like, "We have
It's
nothing.
cold. You're like, it's
It's
cold.
-3, and we don't have shit. Like,
that's annoying.
we can't build a
Yeah.
snowman."
We don't have snow in like the city, but we're surrounded by mountains and they usually get snow in winter, so it's pretty nice around us. Yeah. It's weird because people are like, you get snow in Australia, and I'm like, yeah, I live in the cold city. Nice here.
Well, because also I remember on Christmas Day, I was like, it's very weird to me that it's summer
Oh yeah.
for
Mhm.
her. And I actually said something to my high school kids. I was like, I said, did you guys know that it's summer in Australia? And they were like, yeah, I mean, we have summer too, Kelly. That's what they said to me. And I said, oh, listen, they're shitheads. And I said, no, right now. And they said, it's Christmas time. And I said, right. If you all would just shut up and listen to me. Right now is summertime in Australia. And they said, then how are they dreaming? I had one kid that said, then how are they dreaming of a white Christmas? I'm like,
Oh,
they still
no.
can. It's just
Oh.
summertime there. Listen, I was like, y'all are done. You got to get in. I'm tired of looking at you. I can't put your faces in the water. I'm done. Yeah.
Is
And then it was like 10 minutes later, and a kid popped up and said, oh, so it's the summer season there right now?
Yeah.
This is the youth. This is the future of our world, guys.
I hear it all the
Scary.
time. I hear it all the time. So I have like separate accounts for fashion on TikTok and Instagram. Instagram, I don't hear as much from Americans, but on my TikTok, Americans would just be flabbergasted by me. They would be like, why are you wearing summer clothes? It's Christmas. And I'd be like, because it's hot in Australia. And they were like, what? And they were like, so is it like, someone said, so it's July right now at Christmas time? And I was like, no, babe. What do you mean? It's still December.
Yep. That's how my
Like,
smoke
no.
kids thought. I was like, guys,
So
they have the
why?
same calendar. They have the same calendar. And then, oh my gosh. So then, like last week, whenever we had our original record date, I was like, okay, guys, like I got to leave practice. I've got to get home. Like, I'll see you guys. Okay. And so I was like, at the beginning of practice, I was like, Coach Kelley is out at 6:30. Peace out. Bye. And they were like, well, why are you got to rush home? And I said, well, I've got this recording that we're going to do. And I said, we have one that lives in Australia. And I was like, she's 17 hours ahead. And I said, and I can't do that time math. And they were like, what do you mean she's 17 hours ahead? And I said, her time zone is 17 hours ahead. And they're like, so it's Thursday? And I was like, it's the next day. And guys, this is the face I got. That's who's gonna run the world someday.
That's terrifying to think about.
I know. It's gross. Right. Teenagers are gross. Are you done talking about teenagers?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. She's on Reddit.
Oh, the best place. The place where all the fun lives.
Such a lawless place.
It really is. Terrifying children. Olivia and I are kind of scared of Reddit.
Why?
I read it, but I don't comment on it.
We don't comment anything on it.
Yeah, neither do I.
We're very scared of that. Yeah, we'll read it. And we'll read comments. And we'll have our own opinions to each other. But we're not putting that on there. That's very scary for us.
It's the Wild West. That is the Wild West.
Yeah. Yes.
Anna, do you comment?
Oh, I don't comment. I just like to browse. But I was like, I didn't know if you like got like hate or something from commenting before. That's why you don't.
Afraid.
Just afraid. Just a general fear.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say, that's why I said it's like a lawless place, because people do go crazy. And I mean, you know how you have those like regular keyboard warriors that are like, oh my God, you suck. And then you get on Reddit and it's just like, holy shit.
Next level.
Like,
yes, next level.
Your next generations are going to feel the pain that you felt from those Reddit comments.
Yes.
They're awful. And then Liv told me about like, whenever you like can click up and click down and like how that I had no idea about that.
Where it's like you can like upvote or something, right? Like vote a comment or something like that.
I didn't know how that math worked. And I was like, no. Mm-mm.
I just have to give Coco some food. I'll be 1 second. Just keep going. I can still hear you.
I think I've commented one time and it was on one of Emily's posts and I was like, yeah, girl. And I just...
Yeah, something just very generic. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, you go. But sometimes on Instagram, I'm not afraid to comment. So obviously spoilers was a huge topic. Whenever, what was it? Sarah posted with Azriel, Nesta, and Bryce, like the line
that very first
like
blurb that she posted.
Yes. And the internet broke.
Yeah.
And I had a whole monologue about spoilers in one of our, I think it might have even been this last episode that just came out, because I was like, first off, we already knew that was going to be a bonus chapter. She posted that in July. So everyone that was losing their ever-loving minds about it, I was like, we already knew about them. We knew it was going to be a crossover. We knew that it wasn't a secret. And I mean,
it's also been published for 2 years now.
Yeah. Right. I went on to someone and I said, yeah, like, what a move they made. I said, however, back in July, she already put that up and no one was upset then.
Yeah.
And then it was like all of a sudden, anyone that shared that post was shitty because they were spoiling it for everyone. I mean, we talk shit about all the time about the people that are like Throne of Glass spoilers. I'm like, that came out in 2012. That's not a spoiler. Some of you weren't even born then, so it's not a spoiler. Are you kidding? Selena is Aelin. Just so everyone knows. Hey, did I ruin it for you guys? Sorry, like.
When I first started making TikTok content, like when I first started doing cosplaying last year, I just didn't even think about spoilers. And like back then it wasn't like, it was still popular, but it wasn't like what it is now. It's not sensationalized. But I remember posting some stuff about the like the crossover, and people were like, what do you mean? And I was like, oh fuck. Whoops. Like I didn't even put 2 and 2 together. I just assumed everyone had read it. And I was like, oh shit, I'm so sorry. Whoops. My bad.
You're like, well, it's headcanon.
Just something I'm hoping for.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. Rune looks an awful lot like Reese. Like, oh yeah, no, I did. I went on a whole tangent because I was like, guys, now we're just finding a reason to bitch. Let people make content. Let people enjoy themselves. Also, if you're so niched in your social media that you're seeing basically just all SJM content. I mean, truly on my, what is it, the little, I never can remember, like your For You page. I mean,
Mhm.
it's all bookish art and it's all basically spoilers at this point.
Yeah.
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 I haven't had the chance to read the third, the third Stephanie Garber, Once Upon,
Oh,
like
yeah.
Once Upon a Broken Heart.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
haven't had the chance to read the third one yet. It was fully spoiled for me the other day in artwork. Yeah.
No.
Oh, that's the
And they did not,
worst.
and like that, just, we're still under the 6 month window of that book coming out. And it was like one of those, I was like, after HOFAS, I need to complete this series. It needs to happen.
Yeah.
I need to find out what happens with the characters. And I was like, this is some beautiful art. Because, there was so much headcanon art with the two main characters of the book. And it was, I mean, it actually pulled all of the lines from the book that gave everything away. And I was like,
Oh,
okay.
no.
Yeah. And so I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that was not headcanon. That was, because then people were commenting and they were like, oh my gosh, that was so beautiful. That was how I wanted it to happen. And I was like, 2 years is one thing.
I just feel it's out, it's out.
But
Yeah.
it was one of those where I was like, because there had been so much headcanon art that I was like, oh, okay, this is beautiful. I just want to see, they'll pull stuff from like the first or second book. And then I was just like, oh, okay. But you know what I did? I went, oh, that sucks. And then I moved on with my life.
Found it.
Oh,
Yeah.
you still hadn't found your phone this whole time?
No.
Oh. She lost her phone an hour ago. And she
Uh-oh.
just found it.
Oh, okay. That's good then. It's good that she found it.
But anyways, so, it's just how you handle spoilers, where you're like, I wasn't going to comment on that post and be like, you ruined this series for me. I'm still going to read it and I'm still going to love every second of it. And
Yeah.
I will still probably be just as impacted by that scene as I would have been had I not read it. Because
Yeah.
it was out of context.
It's just not in my nature. And I think this is something that I really struggle with. It's not in my nature to be like, oh, that's your fault. I'd be like, that's my fault. I looked at it. It's my fault.
Yeah.
But people are so quick to be like, you've ruined everything. You've ruined my entire life. You've killed my child. You've sentenced me to death. I'm like, whoa. I would never say that to someone. Some people are just so intense. It's a lot. It's a lot to deal with.
And they're happy to do it. And they're happy to do it is the problem too. They are just like almost getting off on the fact that they're being mean to you. And I'm like, you're saying it, you're typing it out. Like, you might as well just text me at this point, because why? What are you doing? Here's my number. Say it to my face. FaceTime me. Say it to my face.
With your chest.
Yeah, with your chest. Shout out Kevin Hart.
Sass, listen, I'm here to tell you what. Your cosplay, beautiful and amazing. And
amazing.
We're always obsessed.
Amazing.
I mean, top tier. I mean, the way that you can change characters is flawless and beautiful across the board. I mean that. That's not me just kissing your ass because I'm like, look at her, she's on the screen. I mean it. We're very obsessed with it. But I can't imagine sometimes I don't even look at your comments. I will just comment and say what I say. And I'm like, I can't look into that because I can only imagine, especially some of your like unhinged theory cosplays. I bet people come for you, girl.
Yeah, they do, but because I'm really big on creating safe spaces in this community, and it's something that you guys probably know I police quite a lot and have been very vocal about it in my stories and saying, you are not to say this to people. This is not kind. I actually go through my comments constantly and I hide or I delete depending on how nasty the comment is. So I make sure, I pretty much am always making sure it's a really safe space. I find a lot of the time, a lot of the comments that I get that are nasty really revolve around Elaine, Asriel, and Gwen. That's where I see the most horrible comments, and I'm like, delete, goodbye, you're not welcome here. So yeah, it sucks. But I think there's two sides to the coin as well, though, because it sucks. It's awful to see. And obviously I wouldn't want someone who's a ship of any ship to be upset by something. But on the other hand, I'm so glad that there are people who are so passionate and who love this like series, or these series, the multiple series, the Massverse. I love that people are so passionate about it. So it's hard because obviously, yeah, I want to police so it's a safe space, but I also understand that people, are entitled to their opinions, and I want them to feel comfortable as well. It's tough.
It is tough because you want to hear that, not hear negative shit, but you want to hear what people have to say on it. But then, the way you have completely curated a safe space, well, I'm sure you just see that I just literally heart everything that you post most of the time. I'm like, agreed. And then I'm like, yes, girl, agreed. There needs to be more of that because it can get there. Sometimes I find myself on the wrong side of the social medias. I'm not on TikTok. I'm not on it at all. I have the app because I get sent stuff, but I find out 2 weeks later on Instagram like an old lady. I'm not, so like some stuff she'll be like, oh, it's all over TikTok, and I'm like, I don't. I'm not on that, so I don't know what that. I have heard though that there's some ugly sides of book talk.
Yes. People are foul. I actually had somebody recently in my DMs. They were like, how dare you say this? And I was like, hello? What? Excuse me? I was just like, I honestly, at this point, I was like, okay, just say your piece and then I'm going to decide if I'm going to respond, because people like that are not worth my energy. What am I going to do? Start a war with somebody who I've never met? I don't know your name. Literally know nothing about you, but you felt the need. You felt the need to not just like comment on a video or post or whatever, but you clicked on my profile and said, I'm going to message this broad and I'm going to tell her, how dare you? I beg your pardon. How dare I? I'm sorry. Like that's the same thing. It's you want to create a safe space and people are allowed to have their own opinion for sure. And I've posted about the whole like Bryce and Azriel like mate thing. Like that's what I was rooting for. And people were like, fuck you, fuck this, take this shit down. And I was like, listen, I respect that you love this and that you love them and that you interpreted this interview in this way. I love that for you. I'm happy for you. However, I cannot reciprocate the same feelings. But it's just like, how can you go out of your way to just be so nasty for what? What is that going to give you? I'm not going to take my video down. It's not going to change my mind. It's not going to make me want to support your views when you're being awful and nasty, especially for somebody like you who like you put so much effort into your reels. Like you are like the definition of a creator. You have put so much effort into the things that you post. For me, I'm just like, tell me everything. tell me your story. I'm so intrigued and I love that. Even if I wouldn't agree with you, I would never be like, delete your video, take it down. I would never do that. That's why it's like sometimes it's so triggering. I'm like, in what world does this make sense to you? Like it's not, you're not getting anything out of this. If anything, you're beating somebody who's like putting thought or using this platform to just be themselves, more than anything else.
100%.
I always imagine the people that do that were the same people that like made fun of theater kids and like made fun of band kids, and which like we were both.
So was I. I was both as well.
She tries to say she wasn't a theater kid, but she technically was. So I know. You can argue it if you want. You don't want you'll only argue with me, just not them. Oh, okay. She's really putting her best foot forward right now. But like at our school, the athletes and like all those popular cliques were also in theater and all of that. So that's a very foreign concept, and a lot of that is just because of what we see in movies or whatever, but I've heard like where people have been made, shoved into lockers and beat up outside of school just because they were being expressive, whether that's on stage or through music. And I feel like that's the same thing with content creators in the videos that you guys post, showing your face. I don't know if you've really noticed, but when Liv and I post on we are not putting our faces on there. We always talk about how we don't like our faces. We don't like our faces. And we don't feel like the world needs to, our husbands picked it, but again, we don't know why, but we're like, we'll give you our voice. And so for you guys to be like forefront, center, have people are putting a face to that. And I think that sometimes that's what gives them even more right that they think they have to comment, because they can see you as a person. But then you're also like, would you walk up and say that? And then again, they probably would walk up and say that to somebody on the street.
I mean, I dare them to say it to my face. Genuinely, I do. Because I'm just kind of like, okay, cool. Great. Guess what? I'm still going to show up tomorrow. I'm still going to probably say something that you don't agree with, but I'm only saying it to play like, yeah, like it's a thought that I have, but maybe I'm playing devil's advocate. Like nobody who wants to talk about the same stuff all the time, or like maybe somebody noticed something and I'm just like running with it. Okay, you gave me an inch and I'm taking a mile. Okay. So what's the point? This is the whole beauty of being around for something like this, because I definitely think like all of SJM's books have really, they've inspired a group of people, and to be around while it's ongoing is so much fun, because you can do stuff like this. You can theorize, you can make your own guesses, you can do the cosplay, you can take your own interpretation and show the world. I mean, it's no different than actors in a movie. I mean, it's their interpretation of whoever it is that they're playing. I mean, it's no different. It's no different. You're just not getting paid, probably.
And I make the connection with Marvel all the time. Like, because she's doing a crossover, which is basically, I mean, there's a whole Marvel universe, and it's just the fact too that I'm like, it's a woman author doing it that I think also puts people off. But just because she's a woman. But I'm like, that there's been some crazy crossover stuff with the Marvel universe. And so I'm like, when people like get upset about it, first, the people that were upset about a crossover anyways, I'm like, okay, like, why are you upset about that? This is really fun. This is really cool. And it's going to answer all of those, what is it? Plot holes and fillers that everybody says are in these books. She's a mastermind. Those aren't holes, and it's not filler.
It's intentional.
Around. And yeah, it's all intentional. Marvel was the same way. Like all the Marvel Easter eggs that all the, Marvel people would pick out. I'm not into it. Like my husband watches them, but I'm like, if they're on, cool, that's fine. But I'm just like, I'm not in the fandom. But I'm like, let it happen. And there were wild theories for that too. He would tell me about some of them sometimes, and I'm like, oh, great, which is what I do now, where I'm like, listen to this, and he can probably hear us through the back wall.
I know my husband's got his headphones in, trying to be quiet, and I'm just like, all I'm doing, are you excited for tonight? And I was like, yeah, but I want to talk to you about it, but it sucks that you haven't read anything, and it's just pissing me off because I have no one to get this out to right now, and I need to.
I did the thing one day, and I think I had told you about this, that it was kind of whenever we first started doing the podcast, and I was like, so what's going on? Like, what is this really about? And he knew, like, I've read the books and done all that. And I was like, okay, well, so here is, and then I just started talking about like the overarching Massiverse, and guys, you could have dipped a donut in the glaze on that man's eyes. He was just like,
what kind of phrase was that?
Like, it's glazed eyes. He was just like, and then he has ADHD, and so then he was just like, and then like went out and fixed the car. I don't know, like and I was like, oh, that really sucks that I can't So then I was just I'm so thankful that I get to sit down every week and talk to her. Like, I would lose my mind. And I always say that I was like a closeted like fantasy reader because everybody like that we went to school with was like really into like, like the Jodi Picoult and everybody had to get cancer and die. And I'm like, if someone's gonna die, I want a sword through their body. Expecto Patrona, like, or
Very
Expelliarmus.
valiant
Like, I
death.
want something.
Yeah.
I want like magical death. And
That's why I was just reading like you guys' forms that you filled out.
because you guys are great.
Anna's like Team Edward forever, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, forever.
Liv's a huge Twilight girl.
I love it so much.
My
Twilight.
husband is obsessed. Loves it.
Really?
We go on, okay, so we do a Harry Potter marathon every year for Christmas. That's just like our thing. I don't know what it is about Harry Potter, but it just seems like Christmas movies to me. But
Yeah.
Agreed.
so we'll do one movie each week leading up until Christmas. So then Christmas Day, we'll watch like the last one. But then springtime is when we binge all the Twilight movies. And he's like, God, this is so good. This is such a good movie. I love it. And then God, Taylor Lautner, because he plays Jacob, and he'll just be like, God, this guy fucking sucks. Where's Edward? Just so into it. And I'm like, yes, this is the kind of energy that I need right now. I need this.
This guy sucks.
Cinema.
The passion. I love it. Have you guys read Life and Death?
Yes.
No, I haven't.
Oh, you got to read it. It's so good.
Okay.
So Stephanie wrote it in the lead up to Midnight Sun as a way to write from a male's point of view. So it's all of the characters, but they're gender bent. And it has some like really interesting changes to what the original Twilight book was. So I always recommend it to people because I'm like, it's just such a fun way to experience Twilight for the first time again, but in such a different way. I loved it.
Okay,
So good.
I'll have to read it.
You'll love it. I want like updates daily.
Say less. I'll be like rage
I'm upset that I
messaging you. I'm like,
haven't.
damn it, she's asleep. I know, but
Liv's like still upset that I haven't read Midnight Sun. She's like, we literally talked about it one day, and then a week
Have
later,
you guys read it?
she's,
Yes.
have you not read it yet? And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I
I
haven't.
loved it. I know some people didn't like it, but I loved it.
So then I like went to add to cart on Amazon, and then I looked at her from across the table, and I was like, what the fuck is this other book? What? I was like, is this fanfic? What the fuck is this? She's like, no, it's gender bent, and it's important to the plot.
I mean, it's separate, but yeah.
Yeah, it's
But
so good.
you need to, and I was like, add to cart.
The names are kind of goofy, but I did like how it was different and like the ways that it was different. I thought was cool because she kind of wrote it and she was like, people had said, it only worked because Bella was a woman, like it never would have worked another way, and like all this kind of stuff. So she kind of went out to prove him wrong, and I still think it worked.
I loved it. I think I loved it more than I loved Twilight. But that could be because I like powerful women, so I was like, this is sick.
Right.
And you're in your gender bent era right now.
I'm constantly getting requests to do gender bent stuff, so I'm like, all right, guys.
I love
Also,
it.
like
I love it.
being like openly gay online is very interesting. I didn't realize like how thirsty married women were until I came out online.
oh my God, I want to know all
I
the
just
things.
want you to know,
Tell
like-
me.
Yeah, give us some tea about that. Let's hear it.
Yes.
I just will get DMs from women, and my DMs are in requests. So if I go through them, even if I look at them, you can't tell that I've read them. It's a security thing, a safety thing. I just do it for my own mental health, basically. But sometimes I'll look through my requests, and there will be like very thirsty messages in there saying all sorts of things. And then I'll go and look at the person's profile because I'm nosy, and I'll be like, oh, married with kids. Okay. Interesting. But it's definitely something that I see. One of my favorite authors is also openly queer, and whenever she does question time, she gets a lot of thirsty questions, and I'm like, I think it's just being out online. You just generally tend to get those kinds of questions. I get them from men too on my fashion accounts, so it's not like it doesn't happen both ways, but it's just interesting the kinds of people that will send you these messages.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it.
It's fun.
Listen. Well, and it's like, what's not going on at home?
Yeah.
Or have you been lying to yourself this entire time?
Yeah, you probably see you as a safe space probably to ask questions or whatever.
It's Elton John situation. Like, what's happening?
Testing it out.
Yeah. I mean, listen though, but when listen, you're a babe. So
yes.
I mean, you're so I get why you would get all those questions. I don't.
Is one of them me?
Yes. Hey, blink twice if Liv has sent you some of those. I just want to know. Her husband doesn't have to know. I just want to know. So then I can just gaze into her eyes intently and be like, you were seen. Okay, so I want to hear your most unhinged theories.
All right. Do you want me to go first, or Anna, do you want to go first?
You can go first. You go first. You seem ready, so you go. You're like, all right.
I was like, oh, yes, because I asked you guys to bring your most unhinged stuff to the table, because that's what we're here about.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you my most unhinged theory that is also my most popular and unpopular theory on both my accounts, which is that Tamlin is an Ash River.
I believe
it.
People
I believe
that.
I believe it too.
But
I mean,
hated it.
I bet you've gotten some ugly messages about that.
I sure have, and I revel in them. Much like Sarah revels in our tears, I revel in people's anger about Tamlin being an Ash River. So
yes.
Something that I'm going to touch on before I even get into the theory is just the biggest argument that I get about this theory, and I've had it a lot, and that is the timeline. So I know a lot of people say that this theory isn't accurate because of the timeline. So for this theory to be true, I'm going to go off someone else's theory about the timeline, which is Emily, because, you know, our Lord and Savior. Emily has this on her TikTok, and she also has a Reddit post about it as well. If you guys know Emily's theories on TikTok and Instagram, she is also Emmy Ego on Reddit. So she created a theory which states that the worlds are stacked on top of each other. Now, Anna's also theorized this as well, which comes back to string theory.
Yeah.
So Emily's theory suggests that string theory is present and the worlds are stacked on top of each other, but they're existing in different timelines. So she suggests that Throne of Glass is happening in the past, ACOTAR is the present, and CC is the future. To add to this, Harrison literally translates to old world. So I see it. And when I was reading this series, before I was even into any sort of theory stuff, that's kind of how I read them as well, that Terrasen was the oldest of the worlds. Gwyn in A Court of Silver Flames also mentions that Meryl has theorized that the worlds are stacked on top of each other, but they're separated by time and a whole bunch of other things. What does that mean? I don't know. But to me, it seems relevant that they're in different timelines. And that's not to say that, like, Midgard, for example, didn't exist at the same time as these other worlds, but they're happening in different times. So the storylines that we're seeing are happening in these specific timelines. Still with me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh, we're all in.
Okay, cool. So the first thing I want to discuss is Mab's line, because I believe Tamlin is a descendant of Aelin and Rowan and comes from the Mab or Ash River line, while also having Whitethorn elements. So I think that he is a descendant, not a close descendant, but a distant descendant of Aelin and Rowan's line. To jog our listeners' memories, Mab is one of the two true Fae Queens. So she met her mortal mate and lived out a mortal existence with him and died, which I think is kind of cute. The Ash River eyes are described as turquoise blue with a gold ring around them. So Tamlin's eyes aren't the same as the Ash River eyes, but what I do think is interesting about Tamlin's eyes is that they're green with gold or amber flecks through them. The gold flecks in the witch's eyes of Throne of Glass symbolize their Fae lineage, while the black symbolizes their Valg lineage. Thank you, Coco. I agree. She's just yelling in the background. So what I think is interesting is that Tamlin has these beautiful green eyes. They're described so similarly to Rowan's, while also carrying those gold flecks that come from the Fae in the Throne of Glass series. So I think that his gold flecks come from that Fae lineage, which I think is the Ash River line. I think it's trying to tell us that. Well, I think Sarah is trying to tell us that. Also, the first time that Tamlin shifts from his beast form and Feyre sees him as a High Lord, she describes him with a warrior's build, with tanned skin, and Feyre also states that he looks young. It's one of the first things she says is that he looks young. Interestingly, Aelin states this about Rowan in Heir of Fire. So in Heir of Fire, she thinks it would have been a mistake to call him young, and it would have been a mistake to call him anything but a warrior. Like, how similar is that wording? Scary. Hate it. The next thing is Tamlin's magic. So Tamlin can shift into a beast, but like all High Lords can shift into a beast form. But something that he can do that others can't is shift other people. So Lucian confirms in ACOTAR that he can shift other people into other forms, which we see when, oh God, what's that the wolf's name that she kills? Anders? I don't even know.
Andreas?
Andreas?
Perhaps. I can't remember.
That's so bad. So we know that he can shift other people, which I think is really interesting, that is like part of his ability, part of his power is being able to shift others. Feyre also undoubtedly obtains her shifting abilities from Tamlin, and she's able to shift herself. So I also find that really interesting. Maeve also tells us in Throne of Glass that Mab's bloodline ran true so that all her descendants who inherited her full powers and shifting abilities would obtain immortality. So I'm thinking more about the shifting abilities there that Maeve talks about from Mab's bloodline. Another bit of his power that I found really interesting. Please tell me to shut up if I'm talking too much, or if you want to interject.
No,
I feel bad.
Keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
I'm just like, I've got so much. Rowan's power of bending the wind at his will is also really an interesting ability, because when we think about in Akawar, Tamlin saved Feyre from Highburn, and Feyre describes his power as a warm wind kiss with lilac and fresh grass blasted up from beneath me, a wind of spring lifting me, filling my wings, swinging me wide. And Rowan's power,
my mind is blown.
Rowan's power what does he do when the glass, the Throne of Glass, the Castle of Glass is like melting and Aelin's gonna die, and he uses his wind to, and he uses his wind in lots of different ways. So it's interesting that Tamlin would have this wind power and also these shifting abilities, which are Mab's line and then the Whitethorn line. Tell me the evidence is not staggering right now.
It's very specific.
It is very specific.
It's so specific. It's weirdly specific. Now we know that a lot of Tamlin's past is shrouded in mystery and leaves us wanting more. Like, I know that when I read ACOTAR, I was like, I need more Tamlin. Like, not specifically Tamlin as a person, but Tamlin's past and like Tamlin's court traditions, the Spring Court. I really want more of that. And I find it interesting that we know so little about any of his past, his father, his mother.
Also another one that we don't have a last name for.
Yes.
It's wild.
And no one really puts that together. It's all, what's Reese's last name? What's Reese's last name? I think I briefly said it one time where I was like, well, we also don't know Tamlin's last name either. Like,
we don't have any of them.
For them to have Eve.
Yeah.
So,
I was gonna say the Venseras in Autumn. That's the only High Lords.
The only one.
Their last name, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
So keep going, girl.
So we really don't know much about the Spring Court, but one thing we do know about the Spring Court is Calanmai, or Fire Night, or the Great Rite, sorry. So the Great Rite, or Calanmai, is actually a real Wiccan tradition, and it's very similar to a Gaelic tradition called Beltane.
Mm-hmm.
Beltane is in front of glass, so that's a holiday where fires are lit and they bring in the new season, hoping for good harvest. Now, what I find particularly interesting about Calanmai is that Tamlin and his chosen partner, or maiden, whatever you want to call them, for the night, they will create magic together that will regenerate life for the year to come. So they're like regenerating the earth, regenerating crops, making sure it's a good season to come. Before Tamlin chooses his maiden, though, he will hunt down a white stag as a sacrifice. And I think it's really interesting that we use the word sacrifice here, because I've seen a lot of rhetoric around this where people say, well, that's offensive because the white stag is literally the symbolism of Terrasen. It's the Lord of the North. But when we talk about it as a sacrifice, as like something to give to someone, who are we giving it to? What is this tradition? Because the Lord of the North is present in almost every Throne of Glass book, and it is the spirit of Terrasen.
Well, also in Crescent City, in Hosab, towards the beginning, there's literally a scene where they're going around and they're seeing, I think they're standing in front of Luna's statue or something. And the tour guide is literally like, all right, everybody head over here. So then that way we can, I don't know if they're going to see a presentation of a sacrifice for a stag. They mention it in Hosab. And so it's carried even into the Crescent City. I can't remember the exact.
Wait, was it Hosab or Earth and Blood? Whenever they're like whenever it's like Rune and Hunt and Bryce, and they're like
is it in Earth and Blood? Okay,
I think so. Guys, in his like he's like hiding them with their shadows. Yeah, and like they're I think
Liv's word specific checking on her Kindle app.
I was gonna say I think it's Earth and Blood.
They're in like the museum or something, and
yeah, it's when they go to the temple, because it's when she sees that priestess as well. It's in Earth and Blood.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember that at all.
I don't remember that at all.
So this is.
Do you know?
This is
page really 197.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. 197.
Just talking about the stag, page 197. It's she's kind of giving like a rundown of some of the different things that go on or whatever, and it says like the Autumn King was a courtesy title in addition to her father's role as a city head. As for all 7 Fae kings, no kingdom was truly their own. Even Avalon, the Green Isle ruled by the Stag King, still bowed to the Republic. So Avalon is ruled by a Stag King. That's what he calls himself? I did not know that.
I did not know that.
So what's really interesting about that as well is that isn't Luna, Luna is the archer who is also Diana of the Hunt, who people also say might be Thea, don't they? But anyways, that might be going off track. But Luna, Diana, and people also say, or Deanna, people also theorize that Mab was also Deanna, but then it's been like discredited in the actual Throne of Glass books. But it's interesting that would also be like Mab, Deanna, Luna. It's a lot. Yeah. That's wild.
It says 7 Fae kings. This is in Earth and Blood. I do not remember that.
Wow, we pulled out a tidbit that listen, the rereads have got me to where I'm like, I don't know which book, but I remember that they were like, oh wait, everybody get ready for the stag sacrifice. They're like, come on, kids. Let's go see about this stag sacrifice. And so they're like waiting for them all to go on so then they can peruse and do whatever. But it's just very interesting that across all 3, we're seeing a stag be presented. Yeah. There we go. But keep going. Sorry.
No, it's fine. So Lord of the North. I think that's also just such an interesting symbolism. Like it's such an interesting sacrifice or tradition that they uphold this entire time in the Spring Court. Like what? What do you mean? Something else I find interesting is the pool of starlight. So listen, I don't have a very strong theory around this because I just don't think that there is one at the moment. One theory that I really, really love that isn't my own and isn't what I'm going to talk about is that Tamlin was involved with Rhysand's sister. And the pool of starlight is a gate from the night court to the spring court, which is so beautiful. And I loved that theory. But the theory that I want to talk about is Aelin, when she looks up at the stars in Air of Fire and sees the constellation of the Lord of the North, it says she scanned the night sky until she located a stag, the Lord of the North, the unmoving star atop the stag's head, the eternal crown, pointed the way to Terrasen. She'd been told that the great rulers of Terrasen turned into these bright stars so that their people would never be alone and would always know the way home. So we see the theories about the pool being a portal. Who's to say that it wasn't a portal for the people of Terrasen should they ever be lost?
Precious.
Yeah.
Just generally as well, Tamlin is always associated with green. Terrasen is always associated with green too. Like it's always the green colors, which I think is interesting. The wedding ring that Tamlin gives Feyre is a gold ring with a large emerald, which just so happens to be similar to Aelin's wedding ring. And I'm going to touch on Lydia as well in a second because it's the same ring that she has. But the exact wording in Kingdom of Ash is Aelin's ring is described as the smaller one bore a sparkling rectangular emerald mounted atop. The stone was as large as her fingernail. And in Akamath, Feyre says the golden ring on my finger along with the square cut emerald glittering on top. Now, Lydia also has the same ring, but for the purpose of this, we're just going to be talking about these two. But what I think and how I want to wrap this theory up is that we are going to get a redemption arc for Tamlin, because what I foresee is that Lydia will become like a key player. There's too much about her, especially like alluding to the fact that her and Rune may be mates. I think that she has a bigger story, and Anna, you touched on it before, but her bedtime story is also really interesting to me. I think that story kind of also reminds me of Mab, which could then tie into her bloodline being Ash River as well. Again, I also think she could be a witch. She could be a lot of things. But also, just to go back to the redemption arc, Sarah loves all of her characters. We know this for a fact. She loves her characters. And in an interview, she did mention Tamlin dealing with PTSD and grief and them not having access to mental health services like in the real world we would. I think she set Tamlin's character up for either death or a redemption. So I think it's a redemption. And I think him being from one of the most beloved characters' lines would be a perfect redemption arc, because we would all see him in such a different light and see his characteristics in such a different light. And then, yeah, like having all those theories about Lydia as well, with her ring being passed down generationally, and this story that she tells that irritates me to no end because I think about it all the time. It keeps me up at night. But I think if that was about Mab, wouldn't it be so nice for that to like wrap into it as well, like Lydia, Tamlin, some sort of redemption, found family. Like I think that would just be a really, really nice way to wrap up Tamlin's story. So that's my theory.
I love it.
I love it. And we actually just the other day we were talking about Tamlin, us getting more POV on him, and not necessarily even just his POV, but more directly onto him from other characters' POVs. Because the first 3 books, we're just seeing Feyre's POV. We're not seeing anything else. And then we get a little bit, in Akasif, but for those characters that were like a Lucian POV on Tamlin would be, I think, even better than just a Tamlin POV, because you would be seeing him how someone who deeply cares about him would be seeing him. Like the Feyre relationship was like, I think I attuned it to being a high school relationship. Tamlin and Feyre being that high school, that's your first love, like,
Yeah.
You've went through, y'all
Mhm.
listen to your emo music together, you've been
Yep.
through it, you break up and, the bad boy, Reesan comes in and, it, to me, it really was that high school relationship. And so,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that all of his relationships with everyone were that way. And Lucian was the one that kept him grounded. And I think seeing that come back from him in a way where, because I think if he was going to die, the King of Hybern would have already killed him. It would have been
Mhm.
in that moment where he lifted Feyre up. That's where we would have seen if good old Tammy was going to be offed. Like,
Yeah.
I do truly believe that. I think he will have more of a story to tell, but I'd love to see it in another POV.
Yeah. I agree.
I
Also,
do
Olivia
miss
has
Lucian a little bit.
Pardon?
Olivia has Tamlin's eyes.
Oh.
Huh.
I have the green with the gold, so I'm like, I got those Tamlin eyes.
Yeah, she sent me a very close-up photo of her eyeball where she was like, "Look, I got that Tamlin eye." So like she does. So she's actually also a direct descendant. Um, yep, there it is.
Oh my
It's so
God.
close. But I'm so sorry, Anna. What did you say? I'm so sorry.
Honestly, I forgot, so it's fine. It was like it wasn't I think it was just like a comment, so it wasn't like anything important by any means. So
Well,
all
think of
good.
something about Lucian, who we love.
Oh, I was like, oh, I kind of miss him because he's like the sassy best friend. And I
Yes.
love the banter between him and Feyre and Akatar because I mean they became very good friends. And I don't know, like I just miss him. I miss him.
Yeah.
He's sassy.
I miss Lulu too. I miss the sassy Lulu. I don't miss the
Yes.
sad Lulu. But
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, we really need Sassy to come back. Listen,
Hmm.
you know what? He's
really
in
good.
his thruple era right now, so he's gonna get his sass back. For sure, for sure, for sure. He's gonna come back over and he's gonna be one line in it all day, full of wit.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's gotta get it out of his system.
I
He's in
love that.
limbo with Elaine, so he's gotta go do something with that pent up energy somewhere.
Yeah, he's got to figure that out.
Yeah, he does. Which that is, oh man, we could go down a whole other rabbit hole about what's going on across the pond
Yeah,
with that
across the
thruple.
pond.
That is across
Yeah,
the pond.
it is a tough one. It's a really tough one. I personally don't care. I don't care who Az ends up with. I don't care who Elaine ends up with. I don't care who Lucian ends up with. I think it's going to be a really fun story, no matter what happens.
Mhm.
Like, it's going to be juicy. Whew.
Oh man, we're gonna see a lot of angst, I think. A
Oh,
lot.
yeah.
Again,
Well,
a lot of that teenage angst. Like,
yeah. The Azrael is like so teenage angst. I have this video like lined up and it's so funny. It's based on the events after what happens in the Akosif bonus chapter, that horrible chapter that we all try to forget ever happened. But it's so funny. And I think about that chapter often too. It's one of those things that just like stays in my mind all the time. And I'm like, why'd you do that?
again, it's a high school relationship. He was like, "Oh, this
It
one girl didn't
is.
take my necklace, so I'm gonna
So
go
I'll
give
give
it
it
to
to
this other pretty girl, and we'll see what happens."
It'll be fine, guys.
I mean, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. So
Ready for it.
Anna, before we go on to your unhinged theory, I do just want to ask, 'cause I know you said that so, there's huge shipping wars everywhere. Bless it. I'm pretty sure that that is actually one of the reasons that Emily left Instagram for a little while was because of the shipping war, which I had a whole monologue about that. So we'll just move on. But it is a very touchy subject. But
Hmm.
however, we're being unhinged on here today. So I would just like to know your preferred ship.
Okay. I mean, okay, before I dive into this, I will say people only hate on the Bryce and Azriel ship. Like no one's jumping down anybody's throat if they were like, "Oh, Reese and Feyre aren't real mates." You know what I mean? No one's like doing any of that. And not that it pisses me off, but it's just kind of like, okay, well, I'm going to keep doing it because you guys are getting so mad about it. But thanks for giving me views. Also, I appreciate it. But like my preferred, I will say my preferred ship is Bryce and Az. Nothing against Hunt. I just found him to be so incredibly suspect from the very beginning, from Earth and Blood, and all it took was Isaiah's POV, the literally the 3 paragraphs of his interaction with Hunt as he's being introduced as a character, and I was like, something is wrong here. Something is wrong here. If it's misdirection, she did a really great job because I haven't been able to let it go. And I don't know. I want that to happen so hard because if anything, just to prove people wrong that I that yes, I called this out. I said this, and I don't know. More than anything, it's just that. And I don't know. I want them together. I want them together because to me it almost makes sense that okay, so I'm just going to dive into it. So Bryce has the 8-pointed star. In HOSAB, I think it was Cormac who said that that is it's a beacon. It's going to guide you home. So why are we like, we shouldn't be surprised that she didn't end up in hell because of that, and because she also has Luna's horn tattooed on her back. That's why she ended up in Prithian. She is home. And aside from that, wouldn't it make sense that if Prithian is her true home, right, that wouldn't her true mate be there as well? And again, I know there's been a lot of chatter too about being able to have 2 mates, which whatever, that's fine too. But I think as far as a true mate situation goes, it would almost make sense that it's Az, in my personal opinion, because I distinctly remember Cassian in ACOTAR being like, his shadows are different. Like he would always make it would always be a conversation about Az's shadows being so different, and that it was like he was almost the stronger of the 2 of them because of how different they were. That they had this, it's like they had their own personality essentially, and that made me think then of Cormac. And then we get this, little snippet, and then Bryce makes that comment of, hey, his shadows are kind of like Cormac's. And then you go back to when Cormac said he saw the oracle about, hey, if I mingle with this princess, it's good for like our bloodlines or whatever. That's not the exact quote, but it goes back to that too. Okay, so then he has truth teller. And if it goes back to the prophecy where only Starborn are able to wield these weapons, then Azrael has to also be Starborn. No? And in my mind, I'm like, okay, so that prophecy that Cormac was talking about wasn't necessarily for him as much as it was for his people. So then in some way, shape, or form, Azrael also has to be Starborn because he's able to wield Truth Teller. And it like, I don't know. I think the 2 of them are not only going to be connected because of that prophecy of knife and sword, but because of they are destined to be together so that they can bring everybody back or lead them to this world of peace.
Well, and they do talk about a lot that there is more to Azrael than just him being an Illyrian. Like,
yeah,
they have definitely, that's just a conversation where
he volunteers to go with Nesta to the prison. They know what I am.
yeah.
The guards there know what I am.
And so there is definitely something a lot.
Which, after, knowing that, confirming that the Asteria and the Daglin are the same thing, and the way that Lanthus is described whenever Nesta ends up killing him, I'm not convinced that he couldn't be one of them, like that Lanthus could have been a Daglin or could have been an Asteri. And so for Azrael to be like, they know what I am at the prison, like you're saying, Starborn, having a Daglin or an Asteri recognize what he is, that he's something different, like that, I just backs it up, I think.
Yeah. Because what was it we saw in this first chapter, this prologue,
Mm-hmm.
that, oh, well, they were all killed off. And then Amron's like, well, not all
No.
of them, obviously. So was he one that was in the prison that, like, we maybe wasn't really known what he was, kind of like a Bryaxis, like, the
Mm-hmm.
fuck is he? Like, also, where is he? Anyways,
Yes.
was that him in the woods with more, or was that Adis, or was that Apollyon? Anyways, those are a whole different conversation. We'd be here until it was time for Sass to go back to bed. But they do talk about that Azrael is something else. He's Illyrian, but he's not. And also, what to this, I also still think that maybe Cassian might be, because something more, maybe not necessarily like Starborn, but like them to be the two most powerful Illyrians, having the seven siphons,
Mm-hmm.
having, they're, I don't know.
What's the reason?
Yeah. And we are not given any reason. Also, no last names.
Mm-hmm.
Like Cassian Archeron is kind of what he took. He would take Nesta's last name.
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
He would take her last name. But it's, I don't know. It's just those questions that are like just very eluding. Where I know, again, and Sass, for sure with this book because you've talked about it with Emily. But we're not going to get any of those like answers. We're not going to see those for probably
A while.
another 2 years. Which is very heart-wrenching. Like,
yeah,
I think I said something one day. I was like, "You think she's gonna start giving us something in November?" And Liv's like, "No,
Absolutely not.
no, stop trying to live that dream up." But I do think it really does pose a question, and then maybe even just not maybe, and this is just like us just having this conversation too. Maybe necessarily not mates, but there's something going on with Ember. We talk about a lot that we're always, and we talk about this on the pod too. We're always honing in on Ember being a human. That she's gonna live this human lifetime. She's gonna live this, but like,
why you keep saying it?
Why do you keep bringing it up? Again,
Mm-hmm.
Sarah never reiterates on things unless it's like going to be pertinent. And I think I even said before where I'm like, it's an Aelin situation or something where her powers are like repressed. And so maybe it could be like, maybe she's or like maybe Az could be like some sort of descendant or something for her. And then they're being called together. Obviously, they're being called together, Bryce and Azriel, but Amber's something else too, guys. So
why does he have the dagger? Where did he get it?
Yeah, where's it at?
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, Rune had to like get that sword in the stone style.
Fight somebody.
Where the hell did Azrael get Truth Teller?
He just had it. He was born.
Yeah.
Maybe he was born with it.
Maybe it's Azrael.
But and like, again, this is why it takes us 5 hours to get through a podcast record, because we're like, well, actually, like, now that we're talking about this, but I do just want to know, what the fuck, why are they so drawn together? Mates or not, there's a connection. A solid connection.
Well, and it's like
mates in two worlds would be cool.
That, but also it's not that she touched on the fact that you can be mates solely to produce a strong bloodline too. So it's not like it's either that or holy shit, I love you, let's go bang for 4 days. And so maybe it's that. Maybe that's where she's going with this, is like you have two very, very strong people who can, like, that's, I mean, the dagger and the sword is like just one piece of that puzzle, but the two of them as two individuals, just looking at them, I mean, Bryce essentially has a drop of power from literally everyone. So like
Mega Pharaoh.
Yeah. So she's like up there on the scale. And then you have Azrael, who's like, you really don't know a lot about him, but he instills such fear in people because of his ability to get information, to use his shadows, the way that he tortures, just the way that he carries himself. It's almost in the same way that people are afraid of Rhys whenever he is, being the big bad High Lord. But when it comes to as, it's something other. And that's to me is what sticks out. And it's okay, why do we keep talking about this if it isn't important, if he's not going to be like somebody who is going to just like totally shit on our lives. Like I just genuinely think there's something else that's going to happen between the two of them. And maybe it's not mates. Maybe they can be mates but have their chosen mates on the side situation. We all know that she loves, like she had a whole throuple situation, sex scene happening too that got cut, you know, from her. So she's down with the business, okay? And I'm here for it too. So who knows? Who knows? I just think that there's a specific reason that the two of them are being brought together. And if they end up together, great. I love that for me. And
so like you just talking about that, you know, like them coming together. Obviously, she's clearly like one of the most powerful in Midgard.
Yes.
And
she surpassed the Autumn King in power.
Right. And Liv has brought this up before about where Amryn talks about you know, being High King of Prythian and telling Rhys that, you know, you need to decide or else it's going to pass on to someone else. Do we think that High King and High Queen, Az and Bryce? Huh? I'm pulling it out of my ass, guys. Listen, Sass is not for it. I saw it on her face.
I mean, I don't know.
Coco probably yelled too. So,
what was that about? What's that mean?
What's that mean? She locked her lips for listeners to know. She locked her lips and now she's trying to look all innocent. She's real cute in her outfit.
I mean, okay, I'm just going to say it because I feel like it's almost inevitable that we know Bryce is going to be queen of something, high lady of something. There's no fucking way that Rune wasn't like, long live the queen for no reason. There's no way that she didn't surpass the Autumn King. Do you not remember that?
No, my dog is screaming. I'm so like, sorry. It's my big, huge dog is screaming.
Sounds like a tortured child.
Like, clearly, I think my husband might be trying to rip his leg off. I don't know.
My God.
So sorry. No, we definitely remember that. There was a baby gate between down this hallway of this room. He sounds like he's right outside this door. Anyways, what?
You just looked so terrified. I was like, oh my God.
Oh yeah, because it's a vicious sound. I don't know what's going. It's no different. Like Sass looked like that at Coco. Like Milo lives in his mind. So, anyways, Anna, go on. Like,
I mean, I was just saying, there's no way that she's not going to be queen or high lady, potentially of the Dusk Court, right? All of that, like that. It's going to happen. Who is going to be by her side? Huh? I don't know.
Oh no, we're like, look at Sass.
Okay, go off, sis. Confirm.
It's like the whole plot of the book. I can't say it. I can't say a thing.
Okay, fine. I'll accept. I shall wait.
Confirm or deny. Blink twice if we're right. She just rolled her eyes like you do at me sometimes.
I guess that's not right.
Okay, well, I'm gonna blink 4 times because I'm here. I am with you. This is real.
Look, I personally am with you, Anna. You and I have like very similar views and theories. Yeah. I love the idea of Bryce and Hunt being Karanam. Karanam?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. I love that theory. I think that checks out more than like them being actual mates. Sarah has even said in interviews, like she's looked at the interview and been like, yeah, they are mates. So she obviously meant for them to be mates. But the fact that they choose each other is just, oh yeah, we just chose to be mates. Oh, it's not really how it works. When we think about all of the other mates and their symbolism and the kind of love that they share, like, I mean, throughout the ACOTAR series, Rhysand and Feyre's mate story was one of the most beautiful love stories I've ever read. We all lost our fucking minds. Chapter 55 changed it changed our brain chemistry. It changed who we are as people. Cassian and Nestor fighting that beautiful love story and coming together finally after Solstice, and just, it was like the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. And then we have Bryce and Hunt who choose to be married. And I'm like, what? It's so not, it's not Sarah. It's not poetic. It's not beautiful. It's just,
it doesn't change the way that you see headboards and cans of soup. So, I mean,
yeah.
Okay, but it's not even that. I need to know what about Hunt? What about Hunt's personality? What is his personality? What is it?
Yeah.
Where?
There isn't one.
I just what is he funny? Is he caring? He's caring after the fact, after he fucks up. He's caring and apologetic after the fact. Is he somebody who is I'm trying to wrap my head around the fact that, like, the whole mate thing, it's like, it should be something that is so beautiful. And I'm not trying to take away from the fact that it's like their choice, but when they're talking about mates, like in Crescent City, and they get to the Angel's perspective of what a mate is, they're like, oh yeah, it's cool. Like, it's kind of like we're just together. And I'm like, okay, you make it sound like you just paid your taxes. You know what I mean? And that's it. What is this?
Tithe. You're done. Like,
yeah, that's literally what it felt like to me. It didn't feel genuine. Like, when I was reading it, I was like, okay, but do you actually love her, or are you just lusting after her because you're like, it's literally forced proximity throughout the entire first book, and you like, you know what I mean? Is this actually what you're are you capable of knowing what this feeling is?
Yeah.
And genuinely leaning into it. And then you're just kind of like, so like, what are we like married now? Or you're my mate. It's what? It just felt cheap to me almost. I'm like, you took away from it.
And it felt so, I mean, this is probably just a preference thing about books and romance, but it felt to me so, what's the word I'm looking for? Rancid. The entire time I read House on Earth and Blood. Like, Bryce picking up the pieces constantly for that guy. The way she had to go into the shower, I was like, this is fucking pathetic. I did not find that to be beautiful or romantic. I was like, she's picking up the pieces of someone who's gone and done dirty work and assassinated someone and is now scolding themselves under a shower and whimpering and crying. And she's got to get him out and put him into bed. Oh, poor thing. And then she goes and she'll sacrifice me instead. And Hunt's like, what the fuck? And then Marine's like, shut up, Bryce. Oh, like, there's just no
and that's
romance.
All HOFAS. Like, done.
And it wasn't even like a modern take on like how you know, like you meet somebody and you kind of like the whole enemies to lovers type of trope. It wasn't even really truly like that. I just think he really is just an asshole. That's just his personality. I just think it's his personality. Okay, to me, I want to be clear. I don't hate him. If I was in Crescent City and I met Hunt, like, if I was going to go to war, fuck yeah, I want you on my side. If I want someone to work out with, hell yeah, kick my ass in the gym. If I want to have a genuine conversation with you, no. Because where is it? Like, where's the depth? I would need a whole bottle of wine and some Xanax and probably another sedative just to even endure what that would look like. And if I promise you, if he called me sweetheart, I would probably shit my pants and vomit at the same time. I don't know what it was about him. I've got you, sweetheart. I read that and I was like, why? Why was it this? It was the sweetheart thing. Maybe that's what turned me off. And I was like, this is what you want. This is what you want. I literally hear my grandpa calling me sweetheart. And that's what I imagine Hunt saying to Bryce. I've got you, sweetheart. And it's no, don't do it.
So it's not your preferred pet name. Like, don't
call Emma.
Don't call you sweetheart.
Ever. Don't say it.
it's just lacking. It's literally missing the one piece of you want that emotional connection. And it's within all of the relationships that she's had across all of her series. There's been some component that like literally just tugs on your soul. And I honestly feel like it was missing with the two of them because he's a very surface level person to me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there are aspects of him that I enjoy for sure, but as someone who like Bryce needs, no, because I think she's stronger than him in every way.
Yeah.
He's
I don't
not
think
her
he's her
equal.
equal. Yeah.
No, yeah.
Well, and looking at Rune and Lydia, I mean, Sass isn't going to confirm or deny if they're mates or not, but you can blink twice. She's like just going to close her eyes for the rest of this recording.
They're like my favorite character. They're my favorite
love
couple of all time, even more than Nessie, and I love those two so much. They held HOSAB together.
Yes. Facts.
I mean, and like I can't remember how many episodes ago it was, but we talked about, well, I talked about mate language because there was one point where she was like, la 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 la, I don't want to hear this because yeah. But like Rune and Lydia show, as far as SJM is concerned, true signs of like mates. And even they've talked about feeling the tug, just having that, that later connection. I'm truly convinced that the reason that she can't get through to Rune in this first chapter is I'm pretty sure he has his walls up in his mind, because so even if she wanted to, even if she really was getting into his head, she's not getting anywhere. You think about whenever Feyre was learning how to do that or get into Rhys's mind, just the descriptors that she used for that's what I'm envisioning is happening at that point, where he's afraid that if he lets her in that something will slip in front of Pollux, or so it's I think it's his defense mechanism to save him and her. But their mate language is off the charts. I mean, it falls in true, and I'm back and forth about Bryce and Hunt. I'm not a Hunt hater, but I'm also not diehard to where if they're not in game, I'm not going to be devastated. But I can't speak for you like you.
I like Hunt.
I was going to say she likes Hunt. That's why if I come up with anything where I'm like, Liv, you're not going to like this, but we do need to talk about it.
See it multiple ways, but I do like it.
Her preferred is, you preferred your angel winged.
I don't know, I like assholes, I guess.
That's why she's been friends with me for so long.
Like my husband.
Yes.
He's very sweet inside, but anybody that met him, or if you see him, I'm like, you just look like the most miserable person alive. But he's really, as you know.
The very first dinner that
maybe that's just my type.
I mean, the very first dinner we ever went to, he said something, and I just looked at her and went, "What did he say?"
He's just kind of, I don't know.
I mean, we both married men that are just very quiet and don't have a lot to say. I'm pretty sure that if my husband had been sitting in here this entire time, you would have never heard a peep out of him. Like and so I guess that closed off personality.
I get it.
And so I think that's why I'm like, not like a Hunt hater, but I'm also like, I look at Rune and Lydia's relationship of their mate language. And so I think that's what like sets me off from Bryce and Hunt as far as end game, quote unquote. But again, like, I think just because we do have very stoic men in our lives that I'm just, and we also have emotionally unavailable dads.
We both have daddy issues.
We both have daddy issues.
Bryce.
So I mean, our dads are wonderful men, but you can't go to them crying about anything. So it's, I think that's where I'm just torn. So really, either way for her, I'm just interested to see how that plays out. To be honest, I'm more interested in if Rune and Lydia are officially official. Yeah. I need their Facebook status to be updated to mates. Like
100%.
They
we
are
find out
the
yay or
best.
nay?
Blink twice.
What?
Blink
Sorry,
twice
what did
if
you
we
say?
find out. Do we find out yay or nay on if they're mates or not?
I actually can't remember. I don't think that we talked about it at all, so I'm not sure. Which makes me excited because they're probably my favorite thing about HOSAB and like Crescent City in general. So I'm ready for their story. I hope we get more of them. Um, yeah, I know some things. I know some positive things.
Oh, she knows positive things.
Take it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Does Pollux
It's all
die? Because that's a positive thing.
maybe.
Does she use the barbed wire and does she wrap it and does she, like we talked about earlier, she
Not that
flips it on her
specific.
head?
I don't know specifics about how Pollux dies, but I'm pretty sure something happens. But yeah.
That first chapter, okay, so I even have this in some of the notes that I wrote for us to have like our full discussion episode. I watch true crime. I fucking love true crime. I fell asleep to the Ted Bundy tapes, okay? Listen. Okay, I'm fucked. Okay, I can't help it. Yeah, listen. I'm sorry, but and I love like mystery thrillers. I love, and I love horror books. I won't watch horror movies, but I love the horror genre of books. And so to hear some of those gruesome details, you see those videos where they're like, his hands were chopped off, his feet were chopped off, and I'm over here shoveling popcorn into my mouth. It actually terrifies my husband that I'm just won't watch a scary movie, but I will watch a full 10 episode docuseries on like John Wayne Gacy, and I love it. But to read what was going on in that dungeon, and then this where they ripped Rune's piercings out.
Ew.
Yeah.
I cringed harder than I have. I was like, that makes me that hurts me. I was like, I gotta speed up reading. And then just hearing the gruesome detail, their wings being cut off, they're hanging from the ceiling. I was like, Sarah, this is chapter 1. Yeah, it was awful. I was like, if I have to read any more about this, I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle it. Like, and I think it was honestly, it was Rune. This is going to sound so terrible. It was Rune and Paxian I was the most upset about. I was truly the most upset about. Hunt's already had his wings cut off multiple times. He's okay. Yeah. But
he's been tortured before. He's fine.
He gets it.
He's fine.
Walk in the park.
He knows. But baby Rune.
Not Rune. Not our boy. Oh God, I love Rune so much.
I would go to war for Rune, honestly.
Same.
He fuck the Oracle. That bitch is wrong. If whatever the whole bloodline thing is, he's not gonna die. I'm putting it out there. I will not allow it. I will fucking riot. I will riot. I will get on a fucking plane to New York and I'll find Sarah and I'll be like, you fix it now. You change it. You take it back. You cancel all future productions of this and you rewrite it. You rewrite it. This is not allowed.
You give him a kernel of life or you bring him back out of that fucking cauldron or we're going to have a conversation.
And you apologize to him for ripping out his lip piercing. You hateful woman.
I mean, it really got me. I was like, again, I fall asleep to true crime, gruesome true crime. And I'm over here, oh no, and trying to speed through to get past that because I was like, not him. No.
Yeah, not him.
Oh,
anyone but him.
It truly was like, and like some of the scenes in Throne of Glass with Aelin, just the way that she was tortured and having the mask on and stuff like that hurt me. This with Rune gouged me more. And I was like, the Aelin stuff like killed me. I was like, no, not first chapter. Not first chapter. That was like a where is my wife situation. And that was just a lip piercing that he pulled out. Like,
I mean, I think this is just like her way of saying, buckle the fuck up because here's a little sneak peek to get you through the weekend. And then once the book actually comes out, just take a mental health day for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate it. She gave us just enough and not enough. Well, then now that we've basically sidebarred really, really hard. I mean, it is what it is. That's typically how we run our entire podcast. Anna, what you got is your like most unhinged.
I mean, okay, so this one, I think I was just like truly unwell when I came up with this. And I'll just apologize now if it makes no sense. But in my mind, I was like, wow, this is it. I never made a video about it because I was like, I don't know, this might rub people the wrong way. But okay, so it's actually about Luna's horn. And so we know that it's tattooed on Bryce, but they talked about how before it was like it was broken, right? They weren't able to use it, whatever. And when I was doing my reread, I had reread all of Throne of Glass too, obviously. And I had read that right before jumping into my Crescent City reread. And there was like one moment in Kingdom of Ash, and it was towards the end. And it was when Manon and Bronwyn were like getting ready for battle. And Bronwyn also has a horn that she uses. And the verbiage that they use kind of like made me think of Luna's horn. And I was like, well, maybe it was only part of the horn or like another piece of the horn that can be used. And so Bronwyn describes it as a relic from the Old Kingdom. It belonged to Tellen Venora. And the translation of Tellen means harp. And so I was like, okay, maybe there's a connection there as it's another piece of the trove, right? And then, and this is on page 704 of Kingdom of Ash. And then Manon notices the horn and she says, the horn was cracked, brown with age, the symbols carved into it, so worn they were barely visible. And so then I was like, okay, so is it the whole horn, or is it the same kind of same situation of, is this something that somehow eventually made its way to Crescent City? And that's where for me, like the whole timeline things, like I'm still trying to like work it all out truly, as far as like when things start and end throughout all of the series. And so I was like, okay, maybe it's something that eventually makes its way to Crescent City, and it's the same horn that is being used, that now Bryce is using, that's tattooed on her. Because I was like, okay, does this make sense? Because it just seemed, I don't know, it just seemed too coincidental that the translation of this person's name means harp. And the way that she described it as the horn was cracked, brown with age, symbols carved into it, so worn they were barely visible. And I don't know. And that was like, okay, maybe that's the connection to Throne of Glass somehow.
I
not
love
really,
it because it also is like saying like they blow the horn to warn their people
yeah.
or to rally them.
Mm-hmm.
And you think about it in Earth and Blood, like Bryce was trying to like save people and warn people and get people into the bunkers. And so who's so like basically it's that warning, that like saviorism of her. And then who's to say that like on the flip side of things, now that she's in Prithian, she's going to use that to rally and bring people to like basically kick the Asteri's ass.
Yeah.
Like,
And I
or
mean,
just for the lack of better, but that's good.
and as her, and I mean, like she herself as a physical being, she is the horn. I think that's one thing too. Some people, when they were like talking in like my comments on some of my videos, it's like, they're like, oh, but Bryce can wield the horn. I'm like, no, Bryce is the horn. Like she is physically the horn. It's not just a matter of her being able to use it. She is it. Like there's no question that's what's happening. Like it's not like she's separate from it anymore. And so I was like, okay, there has to be some kind of connection with that. And when I read that, I was like, I feel like this is the same thing. And I don't think I've heard anybody else really talk about it. I haven't seen anything about it. But I'm like, it just seems too much of a coincidence because, yeah, I mean, aside from it meaning harp, just the way that it's described in the same way that they're like, yeah, Luna's horn is cracked, it's broken. But I don't know. It's like, how did it get from point A to point B then? That's like the one thing that I just cannot seem to wrap my mind around. It's like, how are these things getting from point A to point B? Like,
So is she one of the witches that does the yielding? Because
wait.
if she has the horn and she does the yielding, could she not end up somewhere else?
Oh, okay.
Like the book, I was thinking of it because the Book of Breathings, like Pharaoh literally throws it into the cauldron and
Yes.
ends up in Crescent City.
Jess was like,
Yes.
look what I got.
Yeah. So if she's one of the witches that does the yielding and she's using the horn, like they could have very well opened a rift because Briar is a witch in the Throne of Glass world and she ends up in Akawar. So maybe they're all like,
maybe it's, yeah. Okay. I love that. I love that so hard because I'm like, okay, how the fuck are these things getting here? That was the one thing I'm like, is it a timeline thing or is it genuinely like is it one person that's making this happen? And so I don't know. That's why I was like, okay, this has to be related somehow to Bryce. And it's solely because of that one sentence. And it's page 704 in Kingdom of Ash when Manon describes the horn.
Yeah, and that I'm like, just this whole paragraph on 704 is just, I mean, it's just wild because it's basically showing kind of how they've used the horn. And, you know, like I said, it's a warning, but then it's also a rally. And, you know, I do think that, so we have talked about that Koschei is everywhere. He never shows as a true physical being. He shows up as, you know, kind of like, I guess, a spirit-esque sort of way. And so, you know, you guys have said earlier that, you know, being a world walker. And so we're like convinced that Koschei is split up and
because the mythology of Koschei is the same way, like the story of it, he like separates his life and his death or whatever and puts it in like a bunch of different places so that he can't be killed.
He's basically Voldemort. And so who's to say that whether, because we kind of talked about that he could possibly even be like Apollyon, you know, because he's trapped in certain places, and if he has split himself up, he can't leave. There's also like I think it's very similar to the Swan Lake, like we've kind of talked about, like the Swan Lake where he's trapped in the lake, so maybe he's using basically like the Voldemort-esque style where he is split up and he's kind of like curating everything to end up the way that he wants it, and he's placing things specifically. And I think that will also be a huge tie-in with Elaine's story. Because clearly he's the bad guy that, you know, will the end all be all for all of ACOTAR. And this next book with Elaine, we're going to see so much more of her seer powers. And it's now that we've got the crossover, are we going to see that world walking more be brought back? And is it Koschei that is world walking? And I'm going to put this book here. I'm going to put this relic here. I'm going to like, he's a fucking mastermind. I don't know. Like we've talked about that just especially because of his mythology origin. Like, but you can't tell me that like they threw that in the cauldron and Jespa got that. Also, who's Jespa? Do we find out who that bitch is?
I don't know. Wasn't told. But she plays a big part in this book.
So you're 17 hours ahead. Do you get access to the book first?
No.
Kindle edition?
So I've already ordered both of them. So the physical book and the Kindle, I've already ordered. So, but I won't get them until you guys get them because the release date is based on your time. So no, I won't get them early.
Well, see, that's why I don't know if I said it to you, Anna, or there's another girl on Instagram. Her name's Whitney, and she lives in Ohio, so she's on our time. She's on Central Time with us
Whitney
too.
Whitney Brown Reads. Is that the one you're talking
Yeah,
about? I love Whitney.
yeah, I love her. I know she was like, "Oh my gosh, I live in Ohio," because I think I posted something where it was something like this side of the Ohio River, and she was like, "Hold on, I'm from Ohio," and I'm the one that broke the news to her that I'm like, "We have had books drop at 11 o'clock because it's based off of Eastern time." So Eastern's midnight is our 11. And I forget what book it was that we were like, holy shit, this dropped at 11. Like, I was very excited. But so be on the lookout for that, Anna. So we can start reading at 11 o'clock and then not sleep all night long.
Well, I'm going to a midnight release party at one of the bookstores here in town. And so I like was trying to reserve like a copy that had the bonus chapters, and everything was sold out online. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to chance it and call the store. And they managed to, they were like, you are getting one of the last copies that we have. And I was like, you better hold that shit. I'm going to be there. I will bring a tent. I will do whatever I have to do. Like, I already pre-ordered it. I got it on my Kindle. I have everything. And I'm like, but I need this one copy. But they're like, we can't sell it to you until 12:01. Like, we'll hold your copy, but we won't sell it to you until 12:01. But that's like our time. So even though East Coast will have it first,
Yeah,
which kind of sucks, but
that does suck. So it'll drop on your Kindle so you can pop
yeah.
open that Kindle app and read it. Yeah, we're going to, so our Barnes here, so it's 30 minutes away, is like the next closest city, um, is not having a party. And we even have a Barnes that has a fucking escalator in it. So,
Big.
I mean, it's a standalone big Barnes and Noble, and we're not even having a fucking party. An indie bookstore in town is having a party, and it was only because the people like were like, have a party. So you can go to the party for free, but they sold tickets so then can reserve like an indie copy. And
Mm-hmm.
I think in the comments, I think somebody was like, well, we get it whenever we get through the door. And I think they were pretty much, no,
You have to wait till
you
midnight.
have to wait till midnight. So that's why I'm like, she was worried. She's like, if it drops on our phones, what are we supposed to do? And
Sit in the corner and start
I
reading
said,
it on.
sit down. We're in a literal bookstore, Olivia. Like, I'm pretty sure we can sit down and we can read it. But so yeah, so we're planning on recording in there. So we might go live a couple times. So Sass, that'll be your afternoon. You
I'll be like,
you're
give
like,
me
what
everything.
time is it? Are you having a party? Are you going to one, Sass?
Well, I just saw that. So there's only one real big event company that does like ACOTAR stuff in Australia at the moment. They're called Celestial Festival. They're really cool. The owner is really nice, and I saw that she was doing one at. I don't. Oh, it was QBD Books, but I don't know if it's in Sydney or in Melbourne. Because she does events in both. So I'm gonna find out if it's in Melbourne. I'll probably end up going by myself, like a loser. Hey everyone, but it would be nice to meet people in Australia because I think I have 3 Australian bookish friends, and only one of them lives in the same city as me. We actually follow the same football team. I love her. She's the best. But yeah, I want to make some more Australian bookish friends. So I'm going to try and see if I can go to it. But I checked, like, our most popular store is called Dimmicks. That's like the most popular bookstore. And I checked their website to see if they were doing events, and there was nothing. I was like, what is wrong with you guys? Like, this is a money-making scheme. Get on it. So QBD Books, if there's any Aussies listening to this and this comes out at a good time for you guys, maybe you might be able to go to this event. But definitely check out Celestial Festival as well, because they are an Australian company that does ACOTAR balls. They're doing a Starfall ball in Sydney, and they're doing one in Melbourne too. I don't know if that's Starfall though. Just me, like, shamelessly spruiking people. It's just hard when we're in Australia.
In here.
We don't have anything in Australia like you guys have. It's just hard because, you know, you guys have these midnight release parties. Like for Iron Flame, literally everyone I knew went to a midnight release, and I was like, I'm at home reading it on my Kindle.
Oh, we were like, not us. Can't be us. But well, it's just what's crazy is that big box bookstores, so they have the whole list up. I think Sarah actually has a list on her website, and the closest one to us is, I think it's like an hour and a half away.
Ooh, yikes.
Is the next closest one, and a big box store that's not, our indie store's not even listed on there because they're just kind of just doing a little thing. And then like after that it's like 2 hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, like the next closest one, Anna, from us is, other than up towards Indianapolis for us, is Louisville.
Oh my God. Really?
Yeah. Otherwise it's, and like I said, we have a big Barnes. It's a standalone Barnes that it's not in a mall, it's not in a strip mall.
Yeah.
It was built, and it's on a very busy side of town. And so I'm very interested to see who's going to show up to this, because I'm going to be honest with you, we don't really have very many full Massiverse bookish friends in this area. Like we have some that are like, oh yeah, I've read ACOTAR, or I've, like even just the first one. Or I have a coworker that she's finally in ACOSF. And then she's, well, what should I read next? And I was like, please go into and read Crescent City and shut the fuck up about the first 100 pages. Like, just read it. Like,
They're really not that bad.
No, it's just a lot. It's a lot of world building. I'm like, you'll be fine. You'll thank me later. Just get some tabs and you'll be okay. Right? Right. But I just realized, Sass, that I'm a shit and I never asked you what your ship was.
Oh, I think my favorite ship of all time is Azriel and Eris. I love them as a ship. They are my favorite. I think the enemies to lovers would be spicy as fuck. We know that Sarah has said that Azriel is a kinky character, so it would be so cool for her to also give us some more gay representation. Like, I know we have Moore and Emery, who Moore is bisexual but leans more towards women, and Emery we know has a little crush on Moore. So like it would be nice to see some gay rep in ACOTAR as well. And yeah, I think that they would just be the hottest couple ever. I am a Eris lover. I love Eris Bencera. I think he's one of those people who's going to get an amazing redemption arc too. ACOSF really set him up for that. But yeah, it would be so refreshing to also see Azriel end up with someone who isn't Gwen or Elaine. That's just a me thing though.
Oh, listen, we've talked about before.
I love it.
We're full Azra stans. Listen, you can't tell me, all right, since we're on it, that, basically, okay, watch yourself talking about Feyre, right? He's just kind of cool as a cucumber, Eris just like sneezes and he just like launches over the table, has him by the throat, is like on top of him. And you know what? I would have stood up and I would have been like, yes, 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 yes. Like, you right here in front of everybody. Go ahead, get it on. Let's go. I'm like, can you imagine like how hot that was gonna be? Oh my God.
It's just so good.
Like, that reaction was a lot.
Oh, it was so much. Felt such a, I don't know. And I think he has a lot of resentment towards Eris because of Moore too, because he doesn't know the whole story and none of us do. I can't wait for that as well. But I know he holds a lot of resentment towards Eris, and I think that probably makes him even more angry, which is why we got that big explosion at the High Lords meeting. Yes, boys! Get on top of each other and then kiss. Just kiss.
I'm like, just, you know what? Fuck the anger out. Just do it.
Please.
I mean,
please.
They are the enemies to lovers. They are the epitome of an enemies to lovers. I mean, you've started, I think the other day you like pulled a Jude cosplay that I was just like, I love your Jude cosplay. They were like, especially with a YA novel, one of the truest enemies to lovers relationships. And I'm here to tell you what could fucking see that with Azriel and Eris. I mean, my God, they were daggers at the throat all the time, and that's all I want from Azriel and Eris.
I mean, I know what I'm gonna dream about tonight, so
I'm
Yeah,
ready for
definitely
it.
my favorite. So that's my ship, my favorite ship. And then I'm also a big Bryce Reel stan, but you know, let's not touch on that ever again because I don't want to be abused anymore.
I'll take it all. I'll take it all because I don't want you to
Thank
be hurt. I don't care. Fuel the fire. Come for me. It's fine.
Oh
I
man,
love it.
listen, it's I don't know. So Clutch Your Pearls, their Patreon, man, they've got some good Azarus art on there. If you're not a patron to
Oh,
them,
Ooh, I'll have to look.
you need to book
yeah.
that. They
I'm
have
gonna go
some
look.
great art, and you, as a patron, you get to vote. There's times where we will stop dead ass in our tracks in the middle of a record. We're like, we will fall across some art, and we'll just be like, hang on. Wait, I need you to see this. Just like she showed me a Therian with his
Oh,
spotted
gosh.
penis thing. It was that Clutch Your Pearls? Was that who that was that did that?
I don't know. I pay for a lot of
Yeah,
fairy porn on Patreon. I don't know who it was.
there's no shame in that game. But she was like, I'm gonna need you to stop what you're doing and you have to come over here.
I have to find it. I'll send it to you on Instagram.
Because
Oh my God.
listen,
That sounds
I
incredible.
can't unsee it.
Yeah.
I can't
I
unsee
want to
it.
know. I want fish dick.
Right? Well, what was it? Who was it that shared that like his dick is like in
It was
clamp?
Oh, that was me.
Somebody,
Is it a
because it was like
clamshell?
whenever she like went to like stick her hand in the folds of the Knox, like it was, I read it with some, you brought it up, but like I saw it where somebody was like, so is she basically just like whenever Bryce is trying to fight off the Knox, she like gets in that fold and basically grabs the Knox's dick?
Ew, I didn't see that.
That would take him down in a heartbeat, guys. Lahaba's
Yeah,
like,
I really would.
yes. I
You
mean,
know who's a good Patreon? I think their name is by Kinky K or something. They do the best stuff. They have some Azrael, Lucian, Elaine threesome moments. They're top tier.
Ooh.
They actually, so a book that I was sent in PR, they did the artwork for it. So this is like one of the bonus chapters, and this is by them.
look up right now.
It's wait, hold on, what is it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
okay.
get a zoom in on that.
So this is two
I
characters
mean,
from it's from the Pendragon Witch by CC Davy, and these are two of the characters from that. So good. So good.
Writing it down.
But
Didn't
yeah,
you just
her
share-
name.
You shared something about that book in the last like day or so, haven't you? Because I'm pretty sure I think I went and added it to like my Amazon cart. Look, look, I pay close attention. I pay close attention
Yeah.
because like we were like, we gotta be in more in on that Sapphic shit. Like we've got to be we gotta read more. We've
It's
got to
so
read more.
good.
You know
This
what?
one as well.
The cover is so pretty.
The cover is
I
gorgeous.
have that. I put that on my list to read because I knew that you loved it so much.
It made me cry so much. It's so
I
little.
also added
It's
that
so
to my
quick.
cart.
That one.
Listen,
what
we
else is good? Oh,
Rick, seriously.
Lady Venom Takes a Mistress was like one of my highest book like recommendations
Well, I
from
added
last
that.
year.
You shared that like in the today times for us, and so yes,
Yeah.
added. That's also in my Amazon cart. You have to stop. My husband's gonna get mad. Like
What
he doesn't say anything
know
whenever book
won't kill
packages
him.
come, but he will. He'll be like, "Lady, what are you?" My husband calls me Lady, so he's Lady. What are you doing? I'm here to tell you what. So Gothicana, she released her traditional Runix released that. So like it showed up at my house. Like what was that like Tuesday? I think is when it released. The like whole like front page was like it looked like it got bitten by a shark. And so that's how it showed up. And so I was so devastated. And so obviously Amazon, I made them do a replacement. Well, then it showed up at my house yesterday and the Amazon driver put it on my front porch, on my wet front porch, and it was pouring down rain and it blew in and it soaked the box.
Oh my
And my
God.
husband, if they would have just sat it on the rug like a
Would have
normal
been
person
fine.
would have, it would have been fine. But my husband was like, the book seems dry. Like he texted me and said, hey, I opened up this package. I assumed it was a book. He was like, the box was soaked, so I wanted to get out whatever was in it before it ruined it. Well, then the pages were like wavy, and it has the beautiful like purple sprayed edges, and thankfully it was just the pages. But that I don't if you have not seen that book in person, it's gorgeous. It's
Okay, I
it's
gotta have a look.
gorgeous. You're gonna see, I'm giving you something because I have 6 books in my cart that I gotta get. And so now I need to give you something. So if you have
Okay,
not ordered that one, like it's
you have it.
gorgeous. And
I
just
gotta do
watch out if you order it from Amazon
it.
because they like to mess it up. Well, what was it? Was it they changed the UK delivery date for HOFAS? I think I saw where Emily had said something like
Oh, yeah, like to the
it was
6th
like,
of February.
Oh,
yeah, and then they
that was
like
for
had to
Kindle,
go
I
fix
thought,
it.
right? Just for Kindle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was, yeah, I just think it was across the board and they were like, hold
Yeah.
on, like
I would be
I
so pissed.
actually I don't trust anything. I don't trust anything. I just have it on my Kindle and then I know I'm gonna get it. And whenever I get the physical copy, it goes up here. Because in Australia, it's like the Wild West. Like you just never know. You never know.
yeah, there was a creator and I'm really trying to think what her name is. And I follow her and she's from Australia. So I
Mm.
probably just need to like look. But she like was trying to get the holiday fourth wing and
Yeah, it was probably me. It was probably me because I ordered it and I paid like $80 Australian dollars for it, which is I don't know, probably like 50 American dollars. And it so I ordered it. They were like, it's 3 months away. And then 2 weeks before it was supposed to be released, they were like, oh, by the way, we don't actually have that. So you're not getting a copy at all. And all we're gonna give you is a store credit.
oh
And I
my
was
gosh,
like,
maybe it was you because there's another girl that I follow and honestly, I feel like it happened to both of you.
it wouldn't surprise me because they said it was due to the manufacturer error. They said they had more than they actually did. So we all ordered it
Yes.
assuming that we would get it, and then obviously we didn't. It wasn't actually for me, it was for my best friend for Christmas. So I then had to scramble and find another gift.
Oh my
So
God.
annoying.
Your summertime Christmas. Your
My summertime Christmas. Yeah, I've never had a white Christmas.
well, listen, I walked into a Walmart today and I went back into their book section and there sat one on the shelf, like
Fourth wing.
or the holiday fourth week.
Well, do you know Jen? She's actually sent me one from America. So Jen, who I do the podcast with, she's Quinn Reads, and she has a lot of
Yeah.
Quinn Bajara. So she bought me one, and she's like, "I've got it. I'm sending it to you. You'll have it." And I was like,
I was about to say, we found a couple of stores. So Liv and I decided that we were going to drive a whole state away last weekend. We were going to drive an hour into Kentucky and we drove around for over 3 hours hitting up. We found the third party company that takes books to like grocery stores, Walmarts,
Because
Targets.
everybody keeps finding HOFAS in like grocery stores.
Yeah,
We're
just
"I'm
like
gonna go look."
randomly in there. So
"Yeah,
we were like, okay, no one in this area reads, so no one's like
It was. We didn't find it.
and we did not find it. There was one grocery store that she went into that in this fucking wall of books, there was this hole in the middle of it, and we're fully convinced that that's where somebody fucking put it. And it wasn't there. We went to 10 or 12.
A lot.
We went to 10 or 12 different stores.
Holy shit.
We didn't find it.
We didn't find it. That was the only store that we thought was like an inkling. And then I went into a Target and I was like, so do you guys have any in the back? I feel like Target employees on a Sunday aren't gonna give a shit. And they were like,
yeah."
so like she got out her little like thing and looked and she was like, yeah, we're not even showing that there's even just anything just in the stock room as far as from product labels. So they're like, we probably won't get it until next weekend, but you can always come back. I'm like, I ain't driving another hour. By
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
time, I'll just wait.
Yeah.
But we did. We tried so hard. So we were very defeated. But you know what? We were very dramatic, but it was a good bonding experience, right? Tell them yes. She hated it. My dog tried to throw up on her. So
Yeah, that would make me hate it too.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
with Liv on this one.
yeah. She was mad, but she was okay. But I also, just a sidebar, cannot get over y'all's delivery of, I guess just because here in the US we're just so used to Amazon just like showing up the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Amazon shows up the next
We have
day
a
for us.
friend. We have a
Like we,
friend
we will
that
get. Oh, sorry.
no, I was about to say her husband's from New Zealand, and the horror stories of whenever, because she was there during COVID and
Yeah.
was like, and was locked down. And so then she was like, yeah, if you thought delivery service was bad before, she's like, during COVID, it was the worst ever. And I was like, oh, yeah, it was really bad. Stuff was like a week out. She's like, no, Kelly, I really need you to understand that it was like months out in New
Really?
Zealand. And
That's
I was like,
crazy.
no, I was like, Tiffany, no. And she's, no, you're like week to 2 weeks was like our month to 2 months. And yeah. And she's, and sometimes stuff just wouldn't even ever show up. And I was like, oh, that's horrific.
Oh my God. No,
I was
that
just
never
trying to
happens
order
to us.
books. I wasn't trying to order like that mattered.
No, look, like things are pretty good. If you order on Amazon, you usually get it the next day. But if you're waiting for a release, I just don't trust that you'll get it
Mm-hmm.
on the day of release. It's just not, yeah. It's I don't think Australia really like understands how important books are. They're still like, oh, it's just a book, dying industry. And I'm like, guys, no.
uh yeah. Well, what is it? Everybody, well, Barnes and Noble is terrible. They won't ship things until release day.
Yes. They're so
Oh.
because they like they will get fined like something crazy like $10,000 or something per book per sale of an item that goes out before release date. I only know this
What?
because I tried to scheme. I also went on a journey to try and find a copy of HOFAS because I'm unwell. And I almost got one. I was like, because I was just very unwell and I needed it. And I go up to this girl. I was like, she looks like she might not give a fuck and I might get away with this. And so I was like, hey, I'm on your app. It shows that the book is in stock, but I can't find it anywhere. And the girl was like, oh, cool. I'll just go get it for you. I know we have it in the back. And so I was like, oh, okay, sounds good. And so we're like walking back. And then she's, oh, just kidding. I can't give it to you. Even though it's here, I can't give it to you. And I was like, God damn it. And she was like, no, we're going to get fined like X amount of dollars. But then my friend also told me that big retailers like that will get fined. I think something crazy, $10,000 per sale. So, I mean, that's I mean, I don't know if that's even like a big deal to companies like that, like a Barnes and Noble or a Target or something. Like, I don't know, or how that looks for like the publishing company or the authors.
Yeah,
But it's something
yeah.
insane, like an insane dollar amount.
Books a Million, they, and I think Walmart's have already shipped them out. Yeah, I have tracking numbers for my Books a Million because so whenever it went on sale, and so the Barnes and Bam had signed editions.
Mm-hmm.
So my work computer, Barnes and Noble's website is shit anyways, and then it would not work on my work computer like with our server. So whenever they like dropped the books to go on sale here in the US. And so I tried to do the Barnes and Noble site. It did not work. So I went to the BAM site. So I got the signed edition and like an exclusive, which like we're doing the giveaway with the additional like just exclusive. And then Liv got the Barnes signed. And did you get a regular one too? Or oh, she canceled the regular one. But like that, so my signed shipped out 2 days ago.
Oh my
And
God. You're gonna
I
have
know.
it
And
like
so
tomorrow, I bet.
it's in Ohio.
So it's
So it came
close.
from Atlanta and it's in Ohio. So my hope is Monday.
Oh, I would die. I would die.
Like during the day Monday. Yeah, I'm like, I may have to have you come over and get it off the porch because it can't fucking
read it before you get home.
That's okay. As long as you let the dogs out while you're here, I don't give a shit. Like, but well, I know. Whoa, sorry guys. Like, so whenever I was trying to get the Barnes and Noble paperback of HOSAB because
Mhm.
they put the Earth and Blood one out, well, then she was keeping it for with her interview with Christina Lauren. And guys, I'm not shitting you. I went to that Barnes and Noble 3 times in the 2 weeks, 3 or 4 times in the 2 weeks leading up to, because I was like, hey, are you going to put those out? Are you going to put those out? And the girl looked at me and said, there's literally a sign on that says, on those boxes that says that if we put those out before September 23rd or 26th, whichever one it was, that like we will be fined and we can be fired for putting it out. I was like,
Crazy.
you're threatening your
Wild.
employees to be fired? And this Kroger down the road is just like popping them up. No one gives a fucking shit. Oh my God. I'm like, that poor girl. Shout out to Jordan because I was there at 10 a.m. on the day of release. I helped her get them out of the boxes. I have a
No way.
literal unboxing video while I was in the fucking bookstore. She literally said, I have a fangirl up here that wants to help me stock the shelves. So just so everybody, I had a meeting at work. I had to leave my office and go to a meeting
I love that.
so I could
It's
pick
giving
mine up. So we're
understandable.
all insane.
I
All
agree.
insane.
But we're all together. Delulu is the Solulu.
That
100%.
I love it. Gosh, guys, this is. Do you have? I was like, I do not want to keep you guys forever and a day because Olivia and I, we just don't. We just function where we, stay up late. And one day it was 2:30 in the morning, and we were still here, and I had to be up at 6 o'clock.
Oh my God,
to
that
go
sounds
to
terrible.
Oyster Meat.
Oh,
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I did it. I did. The kids were like, Coach Kelly, are you okay today? And I was like, no. I said I stayed. They all want to know what our podcast is, and I won't tell them, even though all they have to do is Google my name and podcast, and it literally is the first thing that pops up. Because Tim Barge is a very common last name. Like they're just not smart enough to use Google. And I said I was up late with my podcast last night, and they were like, "Were you talking about explicit things?"
oh my God.
These kids. Who do they
And
think
they're in
they
high
are?
school. It's too good. It's too good. Liv, are you good over here?
Yeah.
Can you tell who the talker and who isn't? Sorry. I'm so sorry.
Love it.
Do you guys have just anything wildly unhinged, even if it's not supported? I know. Just something that because we send each other audio notes all the time of shit that like the other morning I literally got out of the shower and stood in my bathroom and was just like, okay, hey, so I had all of these morning shower thoughts about X, Y, and Z. I just went on and on and on and on and on and on. I was like, Reese and blah, and she was like, that was a great morning thought process.
Sometimes you gotta wake up and get the crazy shit out. I
I
remember 3 weeks ago, I was laying in bed. It was like 2:30 at night, and I literally, I fully got up from bed and was like, "Oh my God!" And I grabbed my ACOTAR notebook and I was like, ah, "I'm insane." But like sometimes you just have those thoughts and you gotta put them somewhere. And I have a notepad. I do not have a Liv, but my most unhinged theory is that Feyre had power before she became Fae, or before she was turned. That's like super unhinged though, and I don't have a lot of like stuff to support it. The only thing that I have is like the fact that she can smell magic, and yet I don't think we ever have that from anyone else in the series. Like she smells this metallic tang of it all the time. Also, the fact that she can like foresee things is really interesting. Like she foresees a lot of things before she becomes a Fae. or is turned. Also, the bed that they all sleep on is made out of the same wood that the witches' brooms are made out of in Throne of Glass. There's just so much going on. So I think she has Fey lineage. And also, like, Amarantha says that Feyre's name is, like, a very old name.
Yes,
like,
she doesn't tell her last name. And she does not tell her last name. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So,
that one, we've talked about that one.
I just feel, and yeah, there are so many points in ACOTAR if you go, like, I was rereading it recently, but like I do this thing where I reread like a quarter of a book and then I'm like, okay, on to the next. I don't know what my problem is. So I reread like a quarter of ACOTAR and started tabbing it and was like, oh my God. This is how I realized. I was like, I think Feyre had power way before she was like made into a Fae. I think she had Fae lineage. She wasn't like a Fae or a presenting Fae, but I think she had lineage in her. So that's my unhinged theory.
And like, agree. Yeah, and when we've talked about Nesta, because just the way that Nesta is described,
seeing through Tamlin's glamour, like,
yeah, she's been able to, and the way she found the fucking wall and no one else could find the fucking wall, like, you can't tell me that
the word marks on their door, like, your dad knows.
Papa Archeron is something, and we're convinced that Mama Archeron is too, but I didn't really piece it so much together with Feyre as much as we did with Nesta. But you're right, like, we don't ever hear, her sisters don't talk about, like, Nesta's POV, you don't hear it, like, where she doesn't talk about that in the same manner, smelling the magic, or kind of just, she senses things differently. I mean, granted, her and Feyre are very opposite personality-wise, but yeah, we haven't oh man, didn't even think about that with Feyre.
I didn't either. That's good.
That's good. Damn. And I don't think it's as unhinged as
I don't either.
What you feel like it might be. Like, I feel like
it makes
we're
sense.
going to find out so much more.
It makes sense because if you think about it, I mean, the three of them are essentially like ultra powerful, like Fae. I mean, Feyre, I mean, just because she literally has a drop of power from each High Lord, right? She essentially completed the drop, right? If we're gonna, you know, and then you have Nesta, who's literally death, like incarnate, and then Elaine, who is a seer, but also kind of almost gives me the same vibes as the Oracle from Crescent City. So these are not your normal beings at all. So, but I did see a theory floating around about who their mother is, and it's somebody I want to say maybe it was Emily's Theories that posted it first about it being Thea's unnamed daughter is their mom. But I don't know if it's her, if she posted it, but it was another like big account that I saw it on, and I can't remember who it is, but I thought that was interesting.
I definitely think that the book cover talks about the unnamed daughter, she would be his salvation, and her line, some part of her line runs through some human line or something.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that she could be like a descendant of her.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And, you know, Auntie Unnamed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, just, and then the kind of the human line thing too, we've kind of like compared that with Ember too, like how earlier I'm like, okay, we just keep fucking talking about how she's going to live a human lifetime. And then also her and Randall are always like, there's some sort of talk or comparison with the Solus and Cathona.
Yeah.
Like where he was a sun priest and, you know, he saved her. She wears the necklace that has them on. So I'm like, okay, so is it something to do with the lineage? Is like Cathona the unnamed? And we're just like, how we're interconnecting all of that? Because I'm like, Ember is something. There's too much where like it's like a Nesta vibe too. Also, she's a huge bitch. Ember.
Oh.
Well, Nesta. But We love Nesta. We're not. We're
Yeah, Ember's
a huge bitch.
Yeah.
Sorry if anybody deeply loves her, but she's so mean to Bryce, and she definitely gives Mama Archeron vibes.
Yeah, she's definitely super overbearing.
Yeah.
I think that they know more about Bryce than they're letting on. I think that they know so much more about Bryce's lineage. The fact that she got pregnant was like, oh, skirt, I gotta go. Like, why?
Yeah.
The Autumn King would have kept you safe. Why insane? Why'd you run away? There's something there that she knows way more about Bryce's lineage, which makes me think that she has something in her blood that she's not telling us. And maybe it's not immortal. Maybe she's not immortal, but maybe she has something in her that's made Bryce so powerful. Just saying.
Yeah, because it has. Yes, the Autumn King, Einar loved, quote unquote, loved her, is what he tells Bryce. And truly, I do believe that he cared for her a lot. We're like Rune's mom, it's just, okay, well, I wanted to make sure I had a kid that was powerful enough that could carry on the line, and then I found somebody that I cared about. But the fact that she the fact that she had to flee or felt like she was fleeing, and
he hunted her down. I think.
Yeah.
I think they could be mates.
Yeah, like he truly, like and we've kind of like briefly skimmed on that in conversation, just be like, well, that sounds like mate behavior, and because he just couldn't let her go.
But is it her? But is it her or is it Bryce? Was he trying to have a hold on Bryce so that when she grew up, because he knew that she had that star power, did he want to have control over that?
Also that.
But also,
so
many questions. And also the fact that Randall teaches her so much about self-defense. Like, I know obviously like Lunathion is a bit of a scary city and there's lots of big baddies out there, but he trained her to boom. Like, Micah didn't stand a fucking chance. She was like, see ya. But the fact that she was trained to put a gun together so quickly, it just makes me think that they know so much more than they're letting on. I just feel it in my bones.
Yeah, there's too much, because as much as she's involved in Bryce's life, we don't fucking know shit about her.
Yeah.
And everything we know about Randall is like Randall's a great character. He really, I think, is just the glue that holds Bryce and her mom together. I think I think he's wonderful, and he really does love Bryce as his own daughter. I don't think there's anything, off about that, but there is more. Because the fact that he literally, like, the Autumn King was like, when Bryce did the drop, and he's like, what the fuck? And she's like, haha, yeah, I knew all about that. You didn't know? Ha ha ha.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Bitch, no, nobody knew. But I do. I think that, and so basically, based on the conversation we just had, we don't get a lot of that or what from discussions with Emily.
Okay. Yeah, no.
Damn it.
Well, yeah, no, really, I don't think so.
Slip up and give me something.
Just FYI, in 10 minutes I have to go because I've got a hair appointment. Just giving you the 10-minute warning.
Oh, no, that's because
we've only been talking to you for 3 hours.
Yeah, totally fine. Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's all good.
And we were only 20 minutes late into the recording.
Yeah, that's
actually recording. But so the last 10 minutes, is there anything, because we will not keep you any longer, because we would hold you until 2 a.m. It
doesn't have to be unhinged. Just anything you want to share.
Just anything you want to share. Anything you want to plug. Anything that you just want out in the podcast world.
No, not that I haven't already said. I'm just very thankful. I'm very thankful that you guys gave us the opportunity to come on and chat absolute shit.
Honestly, it was fun.
Honestly, if you guys want to pop in at any time, we do this every Friday night. So if you're ever just, hey, so I have this idea. Clearly now we have our Zoom
figured out.
We hope so. It says it's recording this entire time, but
we'll see.
We have re-recorded an episode 3 times before, and
we have PTSD. So.
We're very scared. Can you imagine if we would have talked this entire time and hadn't fucking
I
recorded?
can believe it.
Yeah, I actually can. We're really good at what we do.
You guys have to get
But no, like-
Riverside. It's so good. Riverside's what Jen and I use,
yeah.
because obviously she's in the States as well. So Riverside, it like can record lots of different parties, and then it can make snippets of the clips for you, so you can use them as promos, and it's really smart. It's very like AI in a good way, the good kind of AI.
I was about to say, you just said AI, ma'am. What? Hold on, like
No. The right kind of
we know
AI.
you're cosplayers against AI, as it should be.
Yes.
AI's
No. I'm against AI art, and I'm against AI being used to take over someone's job. But when it comes to things like making processes better, like this Riverside can take out all the pauses in your recordings without you needing to edit them. It's great. It's the best.
Cool.
Highly recommend it.
Don't you have a podcast that you want to tell us about?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I can. So my podcast has nothing to do with the ACOTAR realm. We don't talk about SJM at all, which is honestly kind of refreshing. So Jen, who is like one of my closest and dearest friends, she's Quinn Reads. So we have a podcast called The Good Girls Society, and we talk mostly about like dark romance, but lately so the next 2 episodes we're doing are on Petite Mort, which is horror. And we're also doing Dromoini fanfic, so she's doing Manacled and I'm doing the auction. So yeah, we kind of are just bouncing around finding our feet. This will be our 5th and 6th episode coming out in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, it's honestly been the nicest thing. I love having a podcast with one of my closest friends, so I'm sure you guys know how good it is, but it's the best, and we get to just talk about books. So yeah, if you guys ever want to listen to something that isn't SJM related but is still kind of fun and bookish, then yeah, come join us. Our episodes are pretty short. I try to whip Jen into line and do 30-minute podcasts, but we do end up chatting quite a bit, so sometimes they are drawn out.
I love it. Yay. Ana, you got anything else that you want to plug, you want to share?
Just thanks. I mean, this was fun. It's nice to be able to just have a safe space, talk shit, meet some new people, make some friends, and stir the pot. Honestly, it was so much fun. I'm so happy. I literally would not, this is like the best Friday night. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much for being on. We appreciate it. We will get this episode out. Like, the episodes drop on Thursday, so like I will have this out. We may pull some like snippets from it for pre-HOFAS just to get more people hyped. But anytime that you guys want to come on, if you have anything you want to share, we've had so much fun. So thank you guys for doing this, and I can't wait to do it again.
Yes.
Yeah, it was so much fun.
Right.
And so nice to talk to you.
Get your hair done, girl.
Yeah, gotta go figure that out. It's looking a bit ratchet.
All right. Well, Ana, you have a great night, and
Yes,
Sass, you have a great
too.
rest of your day.